yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Thanks 'cause they're deceived. Just like a weed. You already know what time it is, baby. Oh, you already know. Because on the seventh day, the Lord rested. Because DJ Storm says, don't worry, big guy. I got this one. As you already know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. And I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to a very special edition Sunday stream. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's a Sunday stream. It is December 17th, 2023, as we sit just 8 short days away from Christmas. Absolutely fucking unbelievable that it's already this close to Christmas. But I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you stopping on by and spending your Sundays with the Stormsmeister. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn X, formerly known as Twitter, handle. No. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you are doing, because I want you to take a nice deep inhale. I just want you to go, oh, you need to do it again. You can't just do it once. You got to do it more than once, because you got to feel the air going through your nostrils. You got to feel it in that nasal cavity. Oh, last time you got to hit the hat trick. You got to hit the trifecta. Oh, shit. Do you smell that? I'm going to ask you for the second time within a 4-day period. Do you know what that is?
Well, it certainly smells a lot better than this shit tastes. Pure fucking excellence. What else? I'll tell you what you want to hear, damn it. Pure fucking excellence.
Oh my god, you damn fucking right. It's pure motherfucking excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh yeah, man, to mankind, and this is the official rewind for Ring of Honor Final Battle 2023, which of course streamed live last Friday, not on the Peacock that is. Get your mind out of the gutter, you fucking savages. And it was from Garland, Texas, and Texas continues to be a rather impressive crowd for professional wrestling, which I was very pleased with. And as you can see, I am not alone. Back with me for his final appearance on the DJ Storms brand in the Eye of the Storm in 2023, and my first ever guest that I have streaming live with me on rumble.com as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome back to the channel,
Mr. HooliGrim. How you doing, brother?
How's it going? Thank you for having me back.
It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. Of course, when it comes to Ring of Honor, I always got to break you out. Always got to bring you out when it comes to Ring of Honor, because when it comes to Ring of Honor, we always love supporting that underground, dark and gritty promotion that's always looking to put on some really good wrestling that tends to fly under the radar. And that was kind of the case this past Friday. Overall show, I would say, was a really good wrestling show, but Tony Khan, obviously, he has his issues with certain shows. I don't want to say it was an overbearing negative, but when it comes down to it, the show was way too long. The show was way too long, and
Way too long, bro. Way too long.
the main denominator, the common denominator here with Ring of Honor, there's a big difference between Ring of Honor and AEW TV. You take a look at something like a Wrestle Dream or a Full Gear or an All Out or a fucking All In. You take a look at all of the talent that they have on that roster, and sometimes the show doesn't even feel like it's 4 hours. Sometimes it feels like it's barely 90 minutes. Like Wrestle Dream, that shit flew by. That was 4 hours, 5 hours if you count the pre-show, but that shit flew by. Ring of Honor does not have the resources to do 1 hour pre-shows and 4 hour main shows. You can't do that. There's at least 3 matches that you could have taken off of the main show. You could have completely eliminated 2, and then you could have put the 3rd match on the pre-show, which is where it would have fit a little bit better. But we'll discuss that as we get further and further into the stream. But to break it down for you in the simplest way, we did not need the Nyla Rose match. We did not need Eddie Kingston versus Anthony Henry. And you could have easily have taken the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team title match, and you could have put it on the pre-show just to make the 0 hour feel a little bit more important. But I want to hand it over to you. What were your thoughts on the overall show? And are you excited for Ring of Honor going into 2024 as we are on the road to Supercard of Honor WrestleMania weekend?
I am actually. Like I was texting with you during the show the other night. There is just it disappoints me as a fan that there's things going on within AEW right now that I just feel like Ring of Honor has encapsulated that feeling that NXT Black and Gold had. And I don't really watch the weekly Ring of Honor stuff. I haven't for the last few months. Life hasn't allowed me to be able to do that. But every time I watch a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I'm sitting there thinking most of the time, like, why isn't this on TV? Like, why don't we have this shown to the wrestling fans, the casual fans, whatever, give some of them another option. The talent down there is hungry and they wrestle like it, and it just has that a little bit of a gritty edge vibe feel to it. Not like an ECW so much, but whatever NXT Black and Gold was, I see it and I feel it when I watch Ring of Honor pay-per-views, and I love it. And it be like in those moments, in those hours that I'm watching the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, those are really, I'm like, I don't really enjoy pro wrestling from AEW and WWE like that very often. So it makes me wish that and hope for Ring of Honor can get, can move up in 2024 somehow, some way. I don't know if that's possible given the current state of things with AEW.
It's possible. Tony Khan just needs to realize that he needs help when it comes to running shows, and he needs to assign certain people to run Ring of Honor, and he needs to get Ring of Honor down in Universal Studios again when it comes to their weekly programming, because that right there, that will give you the classic NXT Black and Gold vibe. That will give you that gritty underground feeling. And if he splits the rosters and gives Ring of Honor set individuals, and if you want to, you can cross promote them with New Japan as well. Obviously, that's still pretty prominent because we saw a couple of New Japan stars on this show. That right there will definitely bump Ring of Honor up a couple of notches. It's actually quite astonishing because I see all of this this hype, and I see it as nothing more than fake hype for TNA. Meanwhile, TNA, they haven't even sold half of the tickets for their Hard to Kill pay-per-view, which is legitimately in less than a month. Meanwhile, Ring of Honor outsold both of TNA's events combined. They had
Wow.
Hard to Kill and then Snake Eyes, and yet people want to tell me that TNA, they're going to be the de facto number 3 or de facto number 2 because AEW supposedly is dying. It's fucking retarded, needless to say.
I have a question about that real quick. Do you think something has to do with the fact that there was the show for Ring of Honor was in Texas and there were a lot of talent on the show that are booked out of Texas? So maybe that had something to do with the sales of the show itself?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would definitely have to say that when it comes to Texas, Texas is usually a really hot crowd, especially when it comes to AEW. When AEW has come around, whether it be 2021, 2022, 2023, Texas always brings the energy. And it was no different. They were pretty loud all night for Final Battle.
Just out of curiosity, where in Texas are you seeing these people? Because from my memory, every time AEW and especially WWE go into Texas,
WWE, yes. AEW, no. For some weird reason, they get a real good crowd in Texas when it comes to AEW. And the building only had like 2,000 people in it for Final Battle, but they were pretty loud.
They were very loud, actually. And somebody was making mention of the fact about the stage and how overly big it was, and it looked ridiculous because I don't know what they were rambling on about, but I thought the stage looked really good. I thought it made the production I feel like Final Battle last year had a grittier look to it set wise. Yes. This looked a little more pizzazz and like modern day current. It looked like a bigger deal. And so I liked the whole overall look of the actual venue itself, especially knowing that there wasn't very many people there, and they made it seem like there was more than what was there by how loud they were. So
if they want to, I don't mind if they do a stage like that. I would not mind if they do a stage like that only for a Final Battle, considering that this is like their biggest Ring of Honor show.
True. You don't want to do something like that for...
I did like the darker vibe for Supercard, and I did like the darker vibe for Death Before Dishonor, though. That much I will say.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to get into these specifics here. Before we do, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at WHO_LA_Grim. HooliGrim.
Got to go show him some love, people, because HooliGrim, he's going to be a pretty big deal in 2024. He set the pace pretty nicely in 2023 with me. And, of course, now he's a member of Hardcore Sports. So HooliGrim, slowly but surely, is going to find his calling card. He's going to be a mainstream staple on the Hardcore Sports Network as we just surpassed 900 subscribers. Let me double check for sure. I believe we did just pass 900 subscribers last night.
Good
I believe
shit.
Mitch Kovsky actually just
I wanted to shout out Mitch and thank him.
Yeah, we did.
I meant to do it when I was on the other day, but shout out to him and the Hardcore Sports Network for bringing me on board. Appreciate those guys.
Also, people, if you haven't already done so, I see all the people in the chat, whether it be Amanda Nicole, whether it be Courtney McCarran, James Punaseca, Dylan, Rage. Please make sure, if you're not already doing so, please make sure that you follow me on social media, on X and Instagram at History Maker DJS. Once again, at History Maker DJS, because all I do is make history. Please go and check me out on my personal Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. You can also like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, we are live on the business page and the Facebook page as well. Go and check me out on Rumble. The Lightning Flash update from yesterday on Rumble surpassed 140 views, and I haven't even been on Rumble for a month and a half, and already we're actually seeing slightly better numbers than, excuse me, slightly better numbers than I am on YouTube, which is actually quite astonishing. I don't even know how that's even fucking possible. But if you guys have a Rumble, go and check me out on Rumble right now, because Rumble, we are going to be taking over Rumble sooner rather than later. We are live on Rumble right now, as well as my X account, the Hardcore Sports X account, and my YouTube and Hardcore Sports YouTube. Please make sure, if you have not already done so, please make sure that you go and like the stream no matter where you're watching it from, and share it out on all platforms, social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, Rumble, whatever social media platforms that you may be using, so that way we can get as many people in here as possible, because everybody needs their dose of DJ Shizzle Dizzle, because it's a known fact that I make people's lives better. And HooliGrim as well. We got our main course right here, DJ Shizzle, with a side of HooliGrim. So if you guys are not in here, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Your lives are missing out on something extraordinary right here. On top of that, I would also like to shout out some sponsorships. Shout out to Brittany K. She's a wonderful woman, big supporter of the brand, and a good friend of mine. She does beautifully crafted designs on her iPad from scratch. She does drawings of professional wrestlers. She also does Twitter, Abbeys, and banners. So please make sure, if you guys are looking for a nice Abbey or a nice banner, please make sure that you go and check out Brittany K. Her social media link is in the description. Her X account is Brittany K 5150, while her Instagram account is Brittany K Designs. Go and check her out right now. I would also like to send out a special shout out to Corporate Information System. Corporate Information System, recognized by Forbes as one of America's best recruiting firms. And if you guys are looking for a seamless and stress-free experience for both clients and candidates, you're looking to help advance your career, or find a trusted recruiting partner to help you fulfill your hiring needs, Corporate Information System is your firm. Go and contact them. You can check them out on their website, www.cisrecruiters.com. One more time, www.cisrecruiters.com. And then, of course, whether you're watching on my channel or the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 for the Hardcore Sports. We're on the road to 2,300 for the DJ Storms brand. It is going to be a major 2024. 2023 was the best year for the brand yet, and it's only going to go up from here. So go and check out the subscription button. Hit it, knock on it, pound on it, because we need to gain Hardcore Sports, and we need to gain the DJ Storms brand even more supporters than we already have. And of course, when you hit the subscribe button, you got to hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you're going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Oh, because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, you already know that it is the absolute best time to be on YouTube. And do you know why? Because it is the only time that you are going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. You already know what time it is. We're going to go venturing deep into the trenches to find what we need to find. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Look at that shit. This beautifully crafted magical Ace Black comb. But the Ace brand is actually going to be upstaged by the DJ Storms brand, because you're going to have exclusive DJ Storms combs in 2024. Hold on a minute. Gotta blow on it. It's so hot. It's so sizzling. And we are going to light it up right here on the rewind on a Sunday with a little and a dash of and a dash of a whole lot of because like gloriously prepared fried rice and beef lo mein from a Chinese restaurant, I am so good. I am absolutely scrumptious. I am tasty. I am the absolute most delicious snack in the IWC, and you already know that everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. And pretty soon, HooliGrim is going to be combing his beard on camera with his own exclusive DJ Storms comb.
Can't wait.
Anyway, Anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion, the advertisements. Listen, I could comb my facial hair all day, but we have a show to do. Let's start with the 0 hour. Start with the 0 hour here for Final Battle. 0 hour, 4 fucking matches on the show. Exhausting, I know. But regardless.
I'm just saying, by the end of this thing, dude, I woke up yesterday and I felt like I got run over by a bus.
Hey, that's what happens when you got a lot of wrestling to watch.
I did not expect to be up as late as I was.
Dude, hold on a minute. It was midnight on my side of the spectrum. It was 9 o'clock when it finished on your side of the spectrum. What the fuck are you complaining about?
Did you watch the scrum for the next
No,
consecutive 3 hours?
Who the fuck watches the scrum?
I tuned my attention elsewhere after the event, and when that was over, went scrolling on YouTube, and at this point it's about midnight my time, and Tony Khan is still rambling, and I'm listening to him. He's talking about AEW and the hater fans, and I'm like, bro, it's after 3 a.m. over there. Like, what are you doing? Why is there
I was
3
passed
hours?
out. Like, dude, all of these fucking scrums are the same. Like, whether it be for Ring of Honor, Survivor Series, fucking Crown Jewel, WrestleMania, or Double or Nothing, all these media.
I tweeted out that Tony Khan better be careful, because if he keeps doing that at the scrums, probably a lot of the media people are going to stop showing up because they got flights to catch and don't want to be up until breakfast time the next morning. You know what I mean?
I think that he definitely needs to do a better job at timing these media scrums. The media scrum should go no more than an hour and a half.
To be fair to Tony, he reminds me of me in the fact that he's not very articulate. Like, he knows in his head what he wants to say. He just doesn't know the most efficient way of saying it without it turning into rambling, and people start to lose their attention, and then it becomes like
camera guy. Last I
noise
read.
in the ear. What's that?
He's not a camera guy. Last I read.
No, and that was apparent on Final Battle. Woo!
But either way, we did get a damn good wrestling show. No need for 4 matches on the 0 hour, but we're gonna go over everything.
Gotta get everybody on the show, pal. Wait,
what?
that sounded vaguely familiar.
I know, right? Taya Valkyrie and Jasmine Allure. This was pretty much an enhancement match. Again, didn't need to be on the show. But the one positive thing I will say about this before we move on to the next match is Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie were paired together. That is the best possible scenario for both of them. Johnny TV on Ring of Honor, perfect place for him. He is very versatile. You can pair him in any spot and he will succeed. And the fact that him and his wife are paired together, this makes the Ring of Honor women's division a bit more stronger, and it makes the Ring of Honor mid-card stronger as well. Can you imagine Johnny TV versus a Dalton Castle, a Kyle Fletcher, a Commander, a fucking Brian Keith if they want to bring him on, a fucking Lee Johnson, Ethan Page. I'd love to see Johnny TV versus Ethan Page.
Same, I really would too.
Sounds like a great fucking match. Scorpio Sky's on there too. So yeah. they got the talent. They
looked good last night together. It reminded me of Lucha Underground days.
Yeah. They got the talent. They just need the structure. But outside of that, very skippable. Probably the worst match on the show, if we're going to be quite honest with you. Well, probably the worst match on the show. Didn't need to happen. Didn't need to take place. And all it pretty much did was solidify that, okay, Taya Valkyrie's here and she's paired with her husband. That was pretty much it. Do you have anything to add?
You know, to be honest, I forgot that Taya Valkyrie was in Ring of Honor, and seeing her last night and then seeing Athena, Ring of Honor has got a pretty decent women's division.
Yes.
If I'm being quite honest. I'm like, if you wanted to make Ring of Honor, if you wanted to showcase the women.
They got Mercedes Martinez. They got Taya Valkyrie. They got Billy Starks. Nyla Rose, if they want to keep her on there for a little bit. and a couple of other talent. I think I'm missing. Trisha Dora is not that bad. Layla Hirsch has actually had somewhat of a resurgence on Ring of Honor. She put on a great match with Athena a couple months back. So they got a decent women's division down there. They really do.
Yeah, they really do. And if
Willow
Ring of Honor,
Nightingale too. Willow Nightingale.
Willow, yeah, exactly. If Ring of Honor wanted to do something different and make a name for themselves outside of what the other promotions are doing, they could focus. If Tony Khan ever decides to do anything with them on a streaming service or TV, center it around the women's division.
Well, speaking of which, it's funny that you brought that up because according to the Ring of Honor spoilers, Tony Khan instituted a secondary Ring of Honor Women's Championship, the Ring of Honor Women's World TV Championship.
Oh, they got a mid-card belt to go after now.
So I have no problem with that. See, that's the way it should be done. No women's tag team titles, 2 championships in the women's division.
Yeah, there's not enough women to have tag teams, let alone 2 sets of tag team titles in the same company. It's ridiculous.
But I like that. I like that a lot. But do you have anything else to add to the Taya Valkyrie match?
No, I was wondering why we were seeing that. Like I said, I forgot that Taya Valkyrie was in Ring of Honor, and I mean, I guess it's a way to, have her do something, and getting to see her with her husband, like them together, they look like a superstar couple. They almost looked out of place on Ring of Honor, if I'm being quite honest. In terms of, like when an indie show hires like a superstar name to show up at their event, that's kind of how I felt when I saw Taya Valkyrie and Johnny TV at the beginning. I'm like, oh, what are they doing here? Kind of like, I don't know if you saw on Twitter the other day that viral clip of Mansoor and Massey showed up at some indie event and the whole crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
Started chanting holy shit. It kind of reminded me of that. It was like, oh, like they stood out and you were like, they just looked like they looked important. So that was good. The match, I'm not really sure what it was supposed to do for either woman, but
I'm guessing it's supposed to establish perhaps another challenger for Athena, because Athena, we
Yeah.
already know what happened with Athena.
True.
I don't see Taya Valkyrie beating Athena, but we'll discuss that a little bit later.
All right.
The Outrunners. The Outrunners. What in the 1980s is going on over here? The Outrunners. They took on Marshall and Ross Von Erich. Crowd was actually really into the Von Erichs. They did not look half bad. The Outrunners took over with a clothesline to Ross. We had a tag to Marshall, and Marshall, it seems like Marshall is the powerhouse of the two. He delivered a nice back body drop, some big clotheslines to Truth and Turbo. We had a cannonball to Turbo by Marshall. I wasn't expecting that. We had a double hip toss, double drop kick, and double iron claws, and the Outrunners ended up tapping out. They looked all right. They looked all right, a little bit rough around the edges, but they did not look bad whatsoever. I do believe that if they want to, if they continue to work on their craft, I think that they could be a decent little tag team act in the division over there. It all depends on, I guess it all depends on what kind of characters that they want to portray. If they're just going to be the sons of Kevin Von Erich, or if they're going to branch out and do something else for themselves. But they didn't look half bad. They didn't look half bad. I didn't really mind it. The crowd was decently into them, and they had another good performance on Rampage as well. I think they actually looked a little bit better on Rampage than they did on Ring of Honor Final Battle, if you want to go check that out after the stream. But what do you got for me? You got anything else to add?
Yeah. First of all, the Outrunners, to me, regardless of how they look to fans and their in-ring ability aside, their overall like presentation and look, when they came out and I see the 80s style intro graphic and you hear the 80s style synthwave music, and then they come out and they look like that. They're named the Outrunners. I remember that popular video game at the arcade back in the day when I was a kid called Outrun, and you were like driving like a red Ferrari, and it was just you driving and like by some beach or something, and it was just you trying to make the checkpoints and get to the finish line in a certain time so you could keep going. I was just getting all kinds of nostalgia vibes from their presentation, and it was like I was watching old school WWF again. They're like a real throwback kind of tag team, which I really dig. And then the Von Erichs, I feel like, we've got the Bloodline. I'm trying to think of what other names. I kept thinking about Lexus King for some reason because, you know, his father being Brian Pillman and him leaving AEW, changing his name and his persona, trying to find himself as a performer outside of the name Pillman. I understand that. And I was trying to think about the Erics and what would be best for the Von Erichs, pardon me, and what would be best for them. And I'd like to see them wrestle in other towns just because obviously if you put anybody with the name Von Erich in the state of Texas, they're going to be over. So I knew the crowd was probably gonna cheer for them, obviously, and rightfully so, but I'm very interested in legacy is important for the wrestling business to help keep it going through generation after generation, in my opinion. So you've got to have some ties to the past in pro wrestling to keep it all of it together and relevant. And the Von Erichs, to me, obviously they're young. Obviously they will improve. If they choose to stick with it, I can see them really doing something in the tag team division wherever they end up being. And I'm glad that they chose to be in the wrestling business. I'm glad that they're carrying the legacy of that name because, we've got the Anoa'i family. There are other names.
The
You got
Flair family.
Flair, Randy Orton. The Von Erichs were huge in wrestling prior to when I came in and started noticing and watching. The Von Erichs had already had their run. I was as a kid, I was a big,
Mysterio as well.
big Warrior guy. So who was like who mimicked the Ultimate Warrior a lot was Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. He was really popular with me when I was a kid. I liked the Von Erichs, and I hope they stick with this, and I'm interested to see how they progress in the future. So I really enjoyed the match for what it was and was pleasantly entertained.
So I will say one more thing before we move on. Kevin Von Erich, the fact that they gave him the opportunity to go out there with his sons and have that moment, especially on Rampage 2, where Orange Cassidy put the sunglasses on him. This is just like a little off-topic thing. I do have to say it's actually pretty nice to see Kevin Von Erich having fun in the world of wrestling after all the tragedies that he's gone through. It's very, very nice to see him having fun in the sport again.
The Von Erichs, I mean, I don't know if there's been another family that's endured more tragedy than them, to be honest. And I'm really excited to see Iron Claw. I can't wait to see that, actually.
I genuinely am interested. I don't think I've ever really been fond of a wrestling movie, but I think I may go check out the Iron Claw too.
And I don't know much about the Von Erichs' history other than their name and who they were in the time period during the territories that they pushed professional wrestling to. And I've heard Stone Cold many times in interviews over the years talk about him going to see the Von Erichs, and I think it's good for pro wrestling. I think this movie and all the love that it's receiving is good for pro wrestling. So yeah, the Von Erichs, the fact that there's a couple of Von Erichs that are able to even be in wrestling now is only a good thing for the industry, in my opinion.
So moving on here, we had the bounty hunter, Brian Keith, taking on Jack Cartwheel. This was a survival of the fittest qualifier match. This was not my first time seeing Jack Cartwheel, but the last time I saw Jack Cartwheel, he was pretty much getting squashed. This was actually my first time seeing Brian Keith, and for the 7-8 minutes that this went, this really impressed me. I was not expecting this match to be as good for, a 7-8 minute match on a pre-show, but Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel really made the most of their opportunity. You know what is fucking crazy to me? I don't really know how it's even possible, but Jack Cartwheel, I understand it's in his name, but I wasn't expecting every other fucking move that he did to be a move with a cartwheel variation.
I mean, it's
I don't
his
even know
name, his gimmick, his move. Every move in his arsenal involved a cartwheel of some kind. It was reminiscent of what Chris Jericho did with the clipboard, kind of. Only he took it another level and was able to implement something into his actual move set and stuff, and his name. So it was
it's
like,
absolutely unbelievable. I didn't know what the fuck
at
I
first
was
I was like, Jack Cartwheel. See, I've never seen him, so this is my first time, and I'm going, really, Jack Cartwheel? Like that's the name? Like your creative mind couldn't have thought of anything.
It's
But
a
then
stupid
obviously,
name.
as the match unfolds, I'm starting to understand why he's called Jack Cartwheel. So that was pretty neat for me, actually. I jokingly said to
Listen,
you,
the name was stupid, but the guy can fucking wrestle.
I said
That
if
much
if Alexa Bliss was a man, right? Because he has that very short, stocky gymnast vibe. He was, you could tell I'm almost positively willing to bet everything I own that at some point in his life he took gymnastics.
yeah, he
Just
has had to.
he's had to, based on how he was moving in the ring and his body type. But I was actually very entertained by this. It was my first time seeing Brian Keith or Jack Cartwheel for that matter, and I was actually at the end of that match was like, hot damn, Ring of Honor, man.
I'm
I
like,
love Ring of Honor is because
this is
I
what Ring
always
of Honor
see
should
something
be.
that I've never seen before. I always see somebody that I don't know of because I'm not that hardcore of a wrestling fan to where I watch all things wrestling. And I love moments like that when I'm like, okay, this guy looks like a total jabroni. This guy is probably going to squash this guy. And then none of that happens. And they put on a great match. And I'm just sitting there going, this is what's awesome about pro wrestling, man. Never judge a book by its cover. Because just when you think you know what you're going to get, you don't know what you're going to get.
I was right there with you. This is what Ring of Honor should be. The young generation. This is how Tony Khan needs to format Ring of Honor. It needs to be the young generation and others that do not get the opportunity on AEW TV because the roster's so bloated. So
Exactly.
Cartwheel came in with a cartwheel, PK, and a moonsault for a 2. Keith then took over with a drop kick. Cartwheel was sent to the floor. We had Cartwheel coming in with a cartwheel dragon screw. I don't think I've ever seen a cartwheel dragon screw before. We had a backflip neck breaker as well. We had Cartwheel. He hung himself, like he held the ropes, right? And he swung his feet
like
out.
a 619, but he and he just froze.
He swung his feet out in a backward 619, and then this has got to take some core strength. He flung his knees back underneath the bottom rope in a 619 around the ankles of Brian Keith, and then delivered a modified tope atomico for a 2 count. Cartwheel then with a fucking cartwheel power slam, and then he went up top. Keith then got up there, and Cartwheel delivered a Death Valley driver for a 2. We had a Liger bomb. We had not a Liger bomb, excuse me, a Liger heels, like a Liger heel kick. Cartwheel then with a cartwheel corkscrew plancha to the floor, which looked fantastic. He then went for the shooting star press, but Brian Keith caught him with a massive knee. I'm talking about like a snap punt knee. And then Brian Keith with a deadlift tiger driver into a power bomb. 1, 2, 3, and Brian Keith gets the win over Jack Cartwheel. And at the end of that, for the 7-8 minutes that it was, I was thinking to myself, that's a pre-show match. That's what Ring of Honor is all about. That is what I want to see. So props to Brian Keith, props to Jack Cartwheel. Now, the one thing I was hoping for is the fact that Brian Keith wasn't going to win the Ring of Honor World TV title just because it was his hometown. Now, that didn't end up happening, and they went with the best possible outcome. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as this match goes, this is exactly what they need to do with a pre-show match. These are the opportunities that I want the young generation to get. That is what I want to see with a promotion like Ring of Honor. What else you got for me?
If you want to see a display of agility, watch this match. There were moves that we've seen hundreds of times as wrestling fans that looked completely brand new, all because a guy had the creative mindset to implement a basic cartwheel into everything that he was doing in the ring. And when he did that reverse 619, and I thought the feed to my stream froze, right? Because he swings back and his legs kick outside the rope, and you're expecting him to just swing right back in like a 619, and he stopped, and I was like, oh, did my stream freeze? No, he just held himself there, which was absolutely crazy. And you know who can do that? Immediately I thought of a gymnast when they're in the Olympics and they're doing the rings, when they're up on those rings and they're holding themselves up and sideways and stuff, and they just got their hands in those rings that are suspended above the ground. It was very impressive, all the moves he was doing. He had a counter at some point involving a cartwheel that I'd never seen before, and I was just like, I didn't have any words after the match for what I had just seen, because I thought, looking at a guy named Jack Cartwheel, I'm like, I know exactly what this is about to be. And when it was over, I was like, I got to see more of this guy.
And from there, we actually thought that was going to be the best match on 0 Hour. That wasn't the best match on 0 Hour. The best match was actually coming up right after this. Tony Khan came out, and he pretty much cut a very basic, very simple promo, just talking about the history of Final Battle, talking about the Briscoes and FTR last year, which was the greatest dog collar match of all time. He thanked the crowd for building a tradition in Dallas, and that was pretty much that. And we then go into Daniel Garcia and Blake Christian, and this went about 12 minutes, and this match, they actually wrestled as if they were wrestling on the main show. Daniel Garcia and Blake Christian, they matched up very, very well together, and we ended up getting a great match on the pre-show. And again, this match, this should be the embodiment of Ring of Honor. The younger generation going out there, showing everyone why they are to be taken seriously as the future of the business. So this was very technical early on. We had a nice butterfly suplex by Garcia. Christian then with a kick, and then a handspring wheelbarrow double stomp. So it was like 3 different counters in one. We then had Daniel Garcia hyping himself up. He did the pose. He did the 2 fist up pose as if he was going to do the hip thrust dance. We then had some big palm strikes. We had a running boot and a butterfly suplex into the corner. Christian was then hung in the tree of woe. Then we had a big running drop kick for a 2. Christian then with an inverted senton, nice backbreaker, enziguri, a low 619, and a springboard forearm to the back for a 2. That was a very nice flurry of offense. Christian then with a handspring enziguri. We then had a punt kick by Garcia, enziguri by Christian, backdrop driver by Garcia, and then Christian with a bit of a modified Spanish fly, and that got a 2 count. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome, this is awesome." Christian, he then went for the 450, but Garcia caught him and locked him in a modified ankle lock. He then transitioned into a standard ankle lock. Garcia was then sent to the floor. Christian then with a Fosbury flop, landed right on his feet. So this I've never seen before. Usually when someone does a Fosbury flop, they fall with their opponent. Christian did a Fosbury flop, landed on his feet, had Garcia in a reverse DDT position, and delivered the Eye of the Hurricane on the floor. Back in the ring, we had a springboard 450. I thought that was it. 1-2, Garcia kicked out. Garcia then was able to lock in the Dragon Tamer. He wrenched back. It was in deep. And Christian ended up tapping out as Garcia got the victory in the final match on 0 Hour in a great showcase for both himself and Blake Christian. Now, even though I said it was a great match, I'm actually going to offer a piece of criticism here. Why wasn't this match the qualifying match to see who was going to go to the Survival of the Fittest Ring of Honor TV Championship match? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Listen, I am all for giving new individuals new opportunities like Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel, but if you're looking at it from a name value standpoint, Daniel Garcia would have actually added a bit more unpredictability to that match, because the only 2 individuals that I could have seen coming out victorious in that match were Kyle Fletcher and Dalton Castle. And if they added Garcia in there, that would have thrown a bit of a monkey wrench into there. Now, to me, I'm actually still kind of pissed that Daniel Garcia didn't beat Shibata back in July at Death Before Dishonor. I thought Garcia should have won that match, and he should have won the Pure Championship. But again, that's just me. But what they should have done, they should have taken the Taya Valkyrie match off the show. Then you should have taken Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel off the show. You didn't really need that. If you wanted to give Brian Keith a performance, you know what you should have done? You should have had Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel do what they did here on Rampage. That would have been a little bit better. You could have taken that match. You could have put that match on Rampage instead. You could have put that match on Rampage instead of the Don Callis family having a squash match on Rampage. Put Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel on Rampage. Then you could have had the Von Erichs on the pre-show for Final Battle, Daniel Garcia versus Blake Christian on Final Battle 0 Hour, and then you could have had the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. All three of those matches could have been on 0 Hour, and it would have made the show flow a little bit better, and it would have made the 0 Hour a bit more important. So
made the overall card a little shorter.
I know, yeah. It would have shaved at least 15 minutes off the show. And that's just by moving one match. Yeah. But regardless, still a great match. But this match should have easily had been the Ring of Honor World TV title qualifying match. But nevertheless, still a great match. One thing I'm very much hoping for is after this performance and after the Continental Classic, I really hope that Daniel Garcia gets a reboot, because Daniel Garcia has been putting on some really damn good matches in the Continental Classic, and he's a guy that they should absolutely build the future around. The future is bright for AEW, and Daniel Garcia is a part of that. And based on his performances in the Continental Classic and this performance right here, he should be a guy that they should be focusing on possibly making an international champion or a TNT champion or a Ring of Honor World TV champion. You got to give the guy something, because he has busted his ass for a long, long time. Let me hear you.
Daniel Garcia is great. He's pretty much over with every crowd they put him in front of.
With the dance! With the fucking dance!
Right, and every time he goes like this, I'm waiting to see the middle fingers, right? I think he's about ready to flip the crowd off, and then he starts, and he gets me every time with that.
And the crowd, they pop just by him raising his hands. Right? He doesn't even have to do a wrestling move.
Yeah, he doesn't even start swiveling his hips yet. He just goes like this, and everybody starts going nuts. But him and Blake Christian, you know, they're good. They're very good for their age. They've obviously got bright futures in the wrestling business. My comments about this match, however, are not probably going to be... We've seen Daniel Garcia enough that I don't feel like I need to really talk a whole lot about what I saw in this match from a wrestling perspective. This is kind of where my brain starts catching on to little minor blips and faux pas. I had texted you at one point. Something really nonsensical happened in the match. I was just reading over my text to you, but at one point, Daniel Garcia has got Blake Christian in some sort of knee bar. I don't remember the exact move. And then he's got it held for a minute, and then he transitions into the ankle lock. So he's done a double submission, and out of the ankle lock, Blake Christian gets up, sprints off the ropes, and does some crazy dive onto Daniel Garcia outside of the ring with no limp, with no, ow, there's pain in my ankle or my leg from being tore off for the last minute and a half.
I don't think he was in the hold for that long. I thought it was only like 30 seconds.
I feel like there was a decent
amount. That was
amount.
The only submission that he did on the leg. That's what I saw.
I feel like there was enough of that leg hold into the ankle lock being applied that, granted, it wasn't held for the longest time, but he completely no-sold that. And what really irked me was the disconnect between what the announcer, Caprice Coleman, said in that moment when it happened. Garcia's got the ankle lock on, and then he lets go. Blake Christian pops up, and right as he pops up, Caprice Coleman says, ankle lock, the damage is done. And then you see Blake Christian sprint off the rope like nothing happened and fly out to the outs. And it just, to me, it was like,
I actually didn't catch that.
That's corny to me, man. That's just
I
corny to
didn't catch
me.
that.
Like, and there was a number of blunders by Caprice Coleman in this match.
I think he got a little bit too excited, Caprice Coleman. I like Caprice Coleman, but
I really dig Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni. I really do. And I'm not shitting on them in any way because there are worse commentating in pro wrestling than those two guys.
Corey Graves is terrible.
Excalibur. Anyways.
Hey, Excalibur is nice.
To each his own. That being said,
I prefer Taz though.
It was a decent match. It was a good match. For my money, because I was expecting absolutely squat from two guys I had never heard of, being Jack Cartwheel and a guy with two first names, Brian Keith. I never understood that, by the way, why wrestling will bring a new guy in and give him two first names as opposed to a first name with a name that sounds like it could be a legit last name. They always want to name the guy like, I don't know, Jason James or something like that. And it's like, it's just weird to me. But that was my match of the pre-show, was Jack Cartwheel and Brian Keith, because like I said, I wasn't expecting anything from that match and I was completely blown away.
Yeah, that I can understand, but I still would have put that match on Rampage. I would have nixed the Taya Valkyrie
It
match.
actually felt better. Sorry to interrupt you, but it felt better. It felt like more of a main show match than a pre-show match. So I would totally agree with what you said.
That's all you needed to watch. You didn't need to watch the first two.
Yeah, correct.
But the last two matches definitely brought the 0 hour up a couple of notches. I was very, very pleased to see Daniel Garcia and Blake Christian. They put on a great match. And then, of course, Brian Keith and Jack Cartwheel. But the other two matches you could have done without. I understand why you did what you did with the Von Erichs, though. From there, we go into the main show. And in similar fashion, this is the third Ring of Honor pay-per-view in a row this year that they had the Luchadors kick off the show. It was El Hijo del Vikingo versus Black Taurus. And I was actually very much looking forward to this just because of the fact that, listen, El Hijo del Vikingo, I mean, he can have a great match with a fucking blow-up doll. And this was my first time seeing Black Taurus. I had no recollection of anything Black Taurus in my memory other than a brief stint in Impact Wrestling. So I was actually very much looking forward to seeing what he could do. And this was for the AAA Mega Championship. I remember Elio Del Vikingo and Commander kicked off Supercard of Honor for the AAA Mega Championship, and that was probably one of the best matches of the entire night, and probably one of the best opening matches that you'll see across any wrestling pay-per-view. And then they had Gravity and Commander kick off Death Before Dishonor, so they continued the tradition with the Luchadors. I gotta say, man, Black Taurus really impressed the shit out of me. Black Taurus, I was not expecting.
You ain't lying.
I didn't know he was 200. I thought he was bigger than 200 pounds. But, I mean, compared to Vikingo, everyone's a fucking giant.
Right? And when he came out with that look and that bull mask on with his body type the way it was, I mean, you can't not notice that guy. So I'm like, okay, this is somebody I've never seen before. When we're talking about luchadors, I know a lot of times it's not like that style of wrestling is not for everybody. And a lot of people, it's hard for them to distinguish a persona when they see so many people wearing masks. A lot of Americans, I think, see that and they don't really. You got to kind of watch Lucha Libre wrestling and get acclimated to it to start for it to make sense to you, I think. And otherwise it's just going to be like, oh, here comes another guy in a mask. Like it's very easy to just kind of dismiss a new luchador and be like, oh, another guy in a mask going to do some high flying moves. We've seen this all 1,000 times. Not interested. This guy though, for whatever reason, came out and I was just like, okay, let's see what this guy can do.
Oh, he stood out.
My God. That guy did things I've never seen before in all my time watching wrestling.
And we're going to talk about that too. Here's what I will say. I don't want to shortchange him. Was it better than the El Hijo del Vikingo Commander match at Supercard of Honor? I don't know. I'd probably give that match the slight edge, but I will say that Black Taurus and Vikingo, they worked their asses off to try and top or at least get on par with what Vikingo and Commander did. That much I will say.
They did some crazy shit in this match.
So, obviously, it was pretty slow early on before they gradually picked up the pace. Taurus slapped Vikingo. Vikingo slapped him back. Taurus obviously using his power against Vikingo. So, Vikingo, he went for a tope con hero over the top rope, and Taurus caught him, Keith Lee style. You know how Keith Lee catches people in a powerbomb position? Taurus caught him, deadlifted Vikingo in probably the easiest deadlift he'll probably do. And with a release power bomb onto the floor,
just chucked him.
Vikingo, he went fucking splat. I'm surprised his spine didn't shatter. So then, Taurus in the ring with a snap power slam. That got a 2. Taurus then threw Vikingo over the top rope, and I don't think I've ever seen this before. Taurus, he went for a suicide dive, but he did a 360 turn in mid-suicide. I don't think I've ever seen a corkscrew suicide dive. I've seen a corkscrew plancha. I've seen a corkscrew moonsault. I've seen a corkscrew senton, a spaceman plancha, a Fosbury flop. I have never seen a corkscrew suicide dive before. That was the first time I've ever seen that. So from there, we had a reverse sling blade and a crucifix driver and a pop-up slow and drop, all by Taurus. Vikingo kicked out. We had a corkscrew senton missed. Vikingo mounted a comeback with a nice Gamengiri, inverted Hurricane Rana, a pop-up Hurricane Rana. Vikingo went for a moonsault. Now, he botched it twice. He could not get the moonsault twice, so that was a fuck-up on Vikingo's half. He did try a fake out, and he ended up getting the moonsault. And in a sense, that kind of reminded me a little bit of what happened at TakeOver Chicago 2, with Lars Sullivan and Malachi Black. Back then, he was Aleister Black, when he completely missed the Black Mass and Sullivan didn't go down. But they ended up making the crowd forget about the botch. This was the same thing. They ended up getting themselves back on track. They made the crowd forget about the botch. So after the botch moonsault, the commentators, they tried to play it off like he did it intentionally, but, you know, he fucked up. But back in the ring, we had a top rope Frankensteiner. Taurus and Vikingo were now on the apron. We had a rolling sunset flip powerbomb on the apron by Vikingo. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Inside out Phoenix Splash. Springboard dropkick by Vikingo. Taurus then threw Vikingo into the post. Taurus and Vikingo were then up top. Taurus, now I've seen Ryback do this. I saw Ryback do this to Kalisto back at Payback 2016 in Chicago, which, by the way, that was probably one of the best matches of Ryback's entire career. And I remember he did it from the middle rope. He did it from the middle rope to Kalisto, and it looked great.
I don't remember that.
Go back and watch it. It was actually a good match. It was actually a very good match.
I remember vaguely parts of Ryback's and Kalisto's feud, because that was obviously pretty much Ryback's swan song, and then he was gone. But that match, the way they were standing on the top,
he went out on good terms at Payback. That much I will say.
Black Taurus and Vikingo, when they were standing up on the top rope, and
they just were on the top rope. This was from the middle rope.
They're on the top rope, and when he just lifted him over his head, I literally started flashbacking in my head of all the wrestling, all the years, trying to scroll through the Rolodex. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get picked up while standing on the top rope before like that. It was crazy. The balance that they had to have was like, I mean, those two guys were blowing my mind at this point.
And this just wasn't a regular military press power slam. This was a military press slam where he flipped him to the side and he landed on his back rather than landing on his stomach. Vikingo got some fucking height up there. He fucking fell with a thud.
He took some crazy bumps in this.
That was a brilliant spot right there. Awesome spot. Vikingo was able to kick out. Crowd chanted, "This is awesome" again. Vikingo with a tornado kick moonsault Samoan drop by Taurus, which looked great. Taurus then with a spear. Both men were down. Crowd was chanting fight forever. Taurus then was tossed to the floor. Vikingo, I don't think I've ever seen this either. Vikingo with a 630 senton off of the top. I think it was maybe a 720 senton.
It was 720. He did 2 full rotations.
720 fucking senton to Black Taurus on his back. And he landed right on Black Taurus's back. I cannot imagine
landing.
how Black Taurus didn't get injured, because that must have fucked up his back. So after that, back in the ring, Taurus then shut him down again. Taurus then with an Argentine backbreaker and then a powerbomb backbreaker, discus lariat turning Vikingo inside out. That got a 2 count. Now Vikingo was about to wrap it up. Vikingo, crucifix bomb right on the neck of Taurus. Poison Rana. There's no way to make the Poison Rana look safe. Double Meteora. 630 senton right to the sternum. Vikingo covers 1, 2, 3. And Vikingo retains the AAA Mega Championship. Minus the moonsault botch. This was a great match. This was probably the best possible match that they could have chosen to open the show. Went about 16 and a half minutes, 17 minutes. They tore the house down. And out of all the matches, I would probably have to say this was the second best match on the show. For about the first half of the show, this was the best match. And they absolutely brought 138% into this match. And once again, this is the type of match that embodies Ring of Honor. And if there is one place where I think that Lucha Libre would fit really good on a mainstream kind of wrestling promotion, I think Ring of Honor is the perfect place for that. Like, in terms of American wrestling, Ring of Honor is probably the perfect place for hardcore, stone cold Lucha Libre wrestling. And both of these guys absolutely deserve their flowers. Black Taurus, first time seeing him in a full-blown match. My God, I want to see him again. I hope that Tony Khan brings him on to Ring of Honor. I actually want to see what else he can do. And Vikingo, needless to say, Vikingo, he's going to break Kenny Omega's record. Vikingo is going to be the longest reigning AAA Mega Champion. And when he's done with AAA, I really hope to God Tony Khan picks him up. Because, again, you want to talk about future being bright? The guy's 25 years old, 26 years old. The guy is fucking money. Doesn't matter about his height. Doesn't matter about what people say about the Lucha Libre style. Listen, you can have your own opinions. You can like whatever style that you like. But if you're going to deny the intensity, the excitement, if you're going to deny the work that Black Taurus and Vikingo put into that match, you should not be fucking talking about pro wrestling. This was a great match to kick off the show. Vikingo retains. He'll be the longest reigning AAA Mega Champion, and I hope to God that Tony Khan signs him when his AAA contract is up. What else you got to add?
This match was fucking awesome, dude. Like, to open the show, to we know what Vikingo can do. I've, over the year, since 2015, maybe 2015, 2016, I've caught a couple of the Triple Manias, their AAA's version of WrestleMania. Really enjoyed a lot of it for what it was, and being new to that promotion in the last couple of years and only seeing a couple of things that they've put on, I totally agree with what you said about Lucha Libre and Ring of Honor being a perfect place. Use Ring of Honor as a pipeline to start funneling guys maybe from AAA and giving them matches on Ring of Honor shows so that we are able to get more familiar with what's going on in the world of wrestling down in Mexico. Because when you just showcase, what was the name of that Lucha Libre a couple months ago? I want to say it was Commander, and it was 2 other guys. I don't remember the guy's name now. He's been on a...
Hold on. It was Penta, Commander, and Vikingo, I think it was. It was a triple threat match on Rampage.
No, it was a guy that... He's got longer hair with a mask. If you told me...
Gravity?
Maybe.
Because like Gravity is the younger brother of Bandito, and that was the opening match.
Maybe that's
on
who it
Death
was.
Before Dishonor.
Okay,
The opening
maybe
match
that.
on Death Before Dishonor was Gravity and Commander, and that went about like 11 minutes, and that was a decent showcase for both of them. I remember.
Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of then, Gravity. Because yeah, him being the brother of Bandito. There is something to be said for, you can't deny Lucha Libre and its place in pro wrestling, and coming, like, being a big watcher of the Monday Night Wars back in the day and turning on WCW Nitro and it always kicking off the show with Lucha Libre wrestling. That was the first time my eyes ever got put on the world of Lucha Libre wrestling outside of just watching Rey Mysterio wrestle weekly. You know what I mean? But at that point, he's a Lucha Libre, but he's in this world of American wrestling now. It's not really the Lucha Libre versus the Lucha Libre and that whole style. So I fell in love with that right away. And then over the years, it kind of, they kind of got away from that. And now that it's back, and we're seeing it in AEW on a regular basis, Ring of Honor on a regular basis, use Ring of Honor and funnel these guys up from Mexico. Seeing this Black Taurus guy was like, watching him in the ring with Vikingo was literally blowing my mind. And I really enjoyed to talk about a botch in a positive light. This is where the announcing actually shined in that moment because of how they called the botch. And they described it as Vikingo jumping up to the top rope, fainting like he was going to do the moonsault to fake out Black Taurus eventually to hop up and then do something. I really like how they covered that over. It really made me feel like I didn't just see a botch, even though immediately in my head I'm going, oh, Vikingo lost his balance, he's got to redo the move. The way the announcers called it, put it in my head. I was, oh, maybe it was supposed to happen that way. Maybe he was just fainting that move to totally throw Black Taurus off. So that was good. But those two guys killed it, man. And I got to see more Black Taurus. I have to. He was very, very impressive.
So from there, we then go into the Mogul Embassy versus TMDK, the Mighty Don't Kneel. This is Shane Haste, Kosei Fujita, and Bad Dude Tito. This was for the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. It was good. It was good for what it was. It went about 12 minutes, I would say. But let's be honest here. This was extremely predictable. This was merely just a match to get the Mogul Embassy another successful title defense because they just won the titles back from the Hung Bucks. I don't even know why they lost them to the Hung Bucks to begin with, but they won them back and they needed a title defense. You're not going to have them lose it in their first title defense following them winning the titles back. So, of course, you got to have them win. This match, again, good, but this should have been put on the pre-show. Again, it should have been the Von Erichs, should have been Garcia and Christian, and it should have been the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. Those should have been the 3 pre-show matches. And if you would have taken this match off of the main show, you would have taken an extra 15 minutes away, and the show would have flowed a lot better. Because after a certain point, it really did start to drag. But
yeah,
this match, take it off of the main show, put it on the pre-show. That's what they should have done.
This, honestly, to me, it felt like a pre-show match, and not. I like the Mogul Embassy. I love Prince Nana. I've always liked Brian Cage. I've never really been the biggest Brian Cage fan just because there are times where I feel like he forgets what he's doing inside the ring and you can almost see it on his face at times. That being said, the Gates of Agony, I love their look. Toa Leono just looks like he reminds me of the Berserker from not the Berserker. The Barbarian. That's who he reminds me of from WWF that used to wrestle with Haku, or Meng as he was known in WCW.
He reminds me a little bit of a skinnier version of Umaga, if you will, because he's got
that look too with the braids and stuff and the bare feet and the stocky build.
He's
the muscular
got that
build.
look.
Yeah, he looks like a badass. He just looks like, you look at Toa Leona, and I'm like, yeah, under no circumstances do I want to have really any
Totally
form of
on our
interaction
match
with this
side.
guy. Because if it doesn't turn out bad, he certainly looks like somebody that if you even tried to say hi to him, he's gonna want to eat you for dinner. So,
I will say this: the Mighty Don't Kneel. They're a good group. They're a very good group. They are a very good faction, and they work together pretty fluidly. And I appreciate that. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, this was a perfect match to put on right after that, because no, this should have been on the pre-show. This should have
agreed.
been on the pre-show. Still a good match. It didn't fuck up the show. I'm not saying it fucked up the entire show,
No, it just
but
felt like a
it
pre-show
really
match
wasn't
to me.
memorable.
Yeah,
It wasn't memorable. It wasn't anything that we're going to be talking about. But I will give credit where credit's due. The Mighty Don't Kneel. Again, this was probably the biggest theme of the night. The biggest theme of the show was making the most of your opportunities. And I will admit, the Mighty Don't Kneel, they made the most of their opportunity. They gave us a decent little trios match, but it was better suited for the pre-show. So Mogul Embassy was in control. We had a bit of a chop off between Khan and Tito. TMDK tried to isolate Khan. We had a big lariat by Khan, tagged to Brian Cage. We had a military press power slam by Cage, which looked very nice. That was on Fujita. We had a backdrop driver for a 2. Tag to Toa and Bad Dude Tito. We had a tope suicida by Tito on Khan. We had a diving crossbody on Toa. We had a wrist lock tornado DDT. So that actually impressed me by Bad Dude Tito. Pop-up spinebuster by Brian Cage. We had a cannonball by Shane Haste on Toa. We had a big kick for a 2 count. Uranage by Toa. Nana was then doing the swerve dance on the outside.
and I
We then had a
swerve when I drive. Oh, sorry.
exactly, and he did the swerve dance, and he wasn't even doing it to the music, and yet the crowd still popped. So Toa came in with a nasty ass spear on Shane Haste, which I really liked. Fujita then was able to save it. Cage then with a discus lariat on Shane Haste. Death Valley driver by Tito on Cage. We had a springboard drop kick by Tito for a 2. Cage then came in, deadlift superplex on Fujita. Tito saved it. Cage then took out Tito. Haste then with a punt kick. The Gates of Agony with double clotheslines on Haste. And then Fujita was isolated, and he was given the seesaw powerbomb, and the Mogul Embassy retain in a decent little trios match, but nothing main show worthy. Should have been on the pre-show. And ultimately, this was merely a match to get the Mogul Embassy through another pay-per-view. And I hope that Supercard, if they want to make Supercard of Honor a major show, I'm looking at Supercard of Honor, and I'm thinking Top Flight and Action Andretti versus the Mogul Embassy, and just let those guys go out there for 15 minutes and fucking tear the house down. If anything, I would have that match open Supercard of Honor in April. That is your 6-man tag team championship match for Supercard of Honor. That's how you start Ring of Honor's pay-per-view year. That's what I'm looking at. So Mogul Embassy, they continue to do what they do. And after they lose the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships, I genuinely hope that we see them full-time on AEW TV, because I'm telling you, if there's one trio that I would love to see with the AEW World Trios Championships, it's these guys, because these guys are fucking great. What you got from me, HooliGrim? And then we're going to move on to the I Quit match.
I agree. I think I saw somebody on Twitter also tweet something similar to what you just said about they want to see. I believe the tweet was they needed to see Top Flight and Action Andretti in the trios, the 6-man tag team championships, whatever they're calling them.
We got our wish next Saturday. They're fighting the Acclaimed for the titles.
Nice.
But I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win. The Acclaimed are either losing to Bullet Club Gold, or they're probably going to lose to the BCC if they want them to.
No, and I think Top Flight and Action Andretti, to be honest with you, I think unfortunately just because they've dealt with some injuries with the two brothers over the last couple years. I still feel like they're really young. I think Ring of Honor is a perfect place to have them be as
Yeah,
well in terms of
yeah.
talking about bringing up the new talent like you keep mentioning.
Yes, that's why I said that they should be the ones to take down the Mogul Embassy.
Mm-hmm.
They should win it at Supercard next year, the day before WrestleMania Night 1.
Yeah, agreed.
It's weird, though, because, like, who else do you have the Mogul Embassy face before they get to them? Maybe the Dark Order? Because Dark Order's still down there.
I don't even know who all is in Ring of Honor, to be honest, and it's so jumbled with the mixture of AEW roster that I don't know who else you would have Mogul Embassy. I kind of want to see Mogul Embassy just versus God, I don't even remember their name. Brody King and Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews.
You know what? I would actually love to see that. If it's not Action Andretti and Top Flight, I would love to see that match at Supercard. But then again, I mean, the House of Black, they could be in the run for the tag team titles, if anything.
True.
We got a match with FTR at World's End. It's going to be Buddy and Malachi versus FTR at World's End. And I mean, holy shit, give them 20 minutes, let them cook.
For real. And this for me is just more as a fan speaking from just a match that I would like to see. I'd like to see the Mogul Embassy versus House of Black.
I do believe that one day we're going to see that. Ethan Page, Tony Nese, I Quit match. Now on paper, we talked about this on Thursday. On paper, we were like, how is this a pay-per-view match? Like what is going on over here? Then they made it an I Quit match, and I told you that I was actually intrigued to see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the best match of the night? No, but I would absolutely say that the match delivered. It went 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They used a decent amount of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little creative at times. They were using jump rope. They were using 45-pound weights. We had a return from Scorpio Sky.
Protein powder.
Yeah, we had the protein powder. I would go so far as to say that this was probably the best that Ethan Page has looked under Tony Khan, and this was probably the best Tony Nese match probably since his match against Buddy Matthews for the Cruiserweight title on the 205 Live after WrestleMania. Because that match is always the match that I continue to go back to whenever I think about Tony Nese. And I think of that 22-minute match on 205 Live on the Tuesday after WrestleMania 35 in 2019. And I remember those two, they just fucking tore the house down in front of a half-empty arena. And
Tony Nese and who?
Buddy Matthews.
Buddy Matthews.
Buddy Matthews. And I mean, lo and behold, it's Buddy Matthews. But dude, they fucking tore the house down in that match. And I don't think I've seen a Tony Nese match that was as good as that match. The last Tony Nese match that I can remember that came close was probably his match against Sammy Guevara on Rampage for the TNT Championship in December of 2021. That was the last Tony Nese match that I remember that was like really, really good up until what we got on Friday. But listen, again, I sound like a broken record, but they made the most of their opportunity and they gave us a very good I Quit match. It was a little slow in the beginning, but in the end, we got a couple nice spots. We got a couple of really, really good creative weapons, and Ethan Page gets the victory as he should. And I'm liking this new version of Ethan Page. I like the fact that Ethan Page, instead of whining and bitching and complaining online, Ethan Page goes to Tony Khan and he goes, I want to work more. I want to wrestle more. Put me on Ring of Honor. And look at him. He had a fantastic match with Kenny Omega. He had another very good performance here with Tony Nese. So I got to give my props to Ethan Page.
I actually like Ethan Page as a solo guy more than I cared for what he'd been doing in AEW with a faction. I was never really that into Ethan Page up until recently, and I don't know what specifically it was that made me kind of start paying attention to him. The whole, like when he would come out with the silk shirt halfway buttoned up and the loafers with no socks on, and just kind of the whole corporate rock look to him, I wasn't into that persona. Now when this
I loved Men of the Year. I'm just saying. I wish they would have done more with Men of the Year.
didn't really pay too much attention to them, so
I like they just came off like pricks, and I like people that come off like pricks because I'm a
yeah.
prick.
I feel like as this match was happening live, I needed a mental break at this point. So I wasn't paying attention to this match live whatsoever. I actually just went back this morning to watch that match because I missed it. And this is why I love Ring of Honor, is because of stuff like this. Like I go back to watch this match. Now in the moment I'm like, okay, piss break match, and both guys are great. It's nothing to take away from their in-ring talent.
It's just because Tony Nese has been portrayed.
There's so much wrestling, right? And I just needed to take a break. No offense to those guys. So I needed to stretch, get up, check some things. I'm texting you about what we've seen so far. So it just happened to be that's the spot that they're in at the time. Sorry. No offense to you guys. I go back this morning and I watch it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this was I was kind of mad that I didn't pay attention in the moment while it was live, because like you said, it wasn't the greatest match you're ever going to see, but for what it was entertaining. And the whole, I don't know what it was with the whole protein powder thing that popped me. But it was a great match. Tony Nese, I distinctly remember him in the Cruiserweight Classic. I remember his feud that he had and the battles he had with Drew Gulak in the Cruiserweight division. I think I remember a decent match with him and Enzo Amore at one point.
There's two matches that I would refer to people if I'm talking about Tony Nese. I'm talking about his match with Cedric Alexander on 205 Live. I believe it was March 15th, 2019. And I remember that match, and I was thinking to myself, holy shit, this is a fantastic match. That was when he became the second man ever to kick out of the lumbar check. And then his match with Buddy Matthews on the 205 Live after WrestleMania. Those are the two matches that I always go back to when talking about Tony Nese.
He's very good in the ring. And Ethan Page, I'm really interested now, for whatever reason, in seeing where he goes, because I think he's got a good look and I think he's got all of the talent. I just have not really been interested in whatever they've been giving him persona gimmick wise up until this point. And last night I really was impressed with him. And I actually liked seeing, I've never really been I didn't not like Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky. There's just so many wrestlers that I've seen up until now. I can't get to everybody, unfortunately. And some people have to fall by the wayside. But seeing Scorpio Sky come out and them reunite last night, even though
that popped me.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this fits, this works. I would be down to see them doing something. If they want to do something together as a team, I'm down for that. But I really, really would like to see Ethan Page as this new found lease on life, whatever he's starting to do now. I really would like to see them explore that, and explore him as a singles wrestler without a stable or a tag team partner or whatever. But if they're going to go the tag team route, him and Scorpio Sky, I'm for that as well.
Well, it depends, because Ethan Page, he's a very versatile wrestler. You can place him anywhere. He could be in the tag team division with Scorpio Sky. He could fight Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship. Yeah. He could fight for the Ring of Honor World TV title, or hell, you can even have a main event Super Card of Honor for the World Championship if you want him to. There's a lot of different routes that they can go, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'm going to I'm going to watch it very, very closely. We'll see what happens going forward. But for the 20 minutes that it was, this was a very good I Quit match. And I was very, very pleased with what Tony Nese and Ethan Page did. This was probably the best Ethan Page match since the Coffin match with Darby Allin. That was
I got vibes of The Rock versus Mankind Royal Rumble I Quit match when they were, what do you say? What do you say, Tony? Do you quit? No. Like every time The Rock would ask Mankind if he quit, like the responses that Mick Foley would give him, I felt like they were purposely like doing a throwback to that in the match.
They gave us a great moment when Ethan Page's hands were handcuffed behind his back. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so Mark Henry came out, Texas legend, and he handcuffed Sterling to the ring.
That's why Mark Henry came out. I was wondering, I thought it was random because obviously I didn't see the match till this morning, but I was wondering why. Now it makes sense to have Mark. Yeah, I forgot that he's from Texas.
So Nese took a cheap shot. Page came back with a big lariat. The crowd was chanting Tony sucks. The crowd actually made this match better, so I was very, very pleased with the Texas crowd. Sterling then gave Nese protein powder, but Page dodged it, and Nese got a face full of protein powder. Page then was sent into the steps. Nese then took the mic and told Page to quit. Nese then crushed Page's head in between his knee and the steps. Nese asked Page to quit again. Page said no. Page was actually bleeding. Page with some right hands. Nese was then tossed over the barricade. Crowd was firmly behind Ethan. Nese with a flying clothesline off of the barricade. Nese then got a 45-pound weight. He nearly crushed Ethan Page's hand. Nese then got a jump rope, and he started whipping Ethan Page with the jump rope. Now, it didn't sound all that brutal, but Tony Nese posted a pic on Twitter of the jump rope welts, and my God, like, I don't want to get whipped with a fucking jump rope. So I'm glad that they used some different weapons. They got a little bit more innovative. So he faked saying I quit, did Tony Nese. So Tony Nese he took the mic, he goes, "Stop, Ethan, I can't take it anymore." And then he said and then he hit Ethan Page with the microphone. So he did a fake out there. So Nese then with a nice Fosbury flop over the top, landed on his feet. Nese then brought out 2 tables. Page then put Nese on the table, but Nese got up. Page then with a cutter off of the ropes, and Nese, he twanged his head on the top rope. So Nese was kind of groggy. Page said, "You know what? Fuck this." And in probably the best spot of the match for me, the best spot of the match, Ethan Page with a beautiful slingshot cutter off of the apron, and both men gracefully fall through the air into a cutter through the 2 tables. That was definitely one of the best spots of the entire night. Crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." Nese did not quit. Page then set up 2 chairs. Page with a power slam attempt, and Nese delivered a Hurricane Rana to Ethan Page, but Page's head just barely grazed the chairs. Page didn't quit. Nese then took the key from Bobby Cruz. He shoved the ref down, and he uncuffed Sterling. So at this point, it was a 2-on-1. Page wouldn't quit. Sterling then threatened to have Tony Nese hit Ethan Page with the weight and then send it to his daughter. Now, obviously, Mark Sterling's a fucking bum and all that, but I actually like that line. I like the fact that they were playing up to that dickhead heel persona of Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. Like, we're going to send this shit to your daughter. I like that. I thought that was very nice. All of a sudden, out comes Scorpio Sky. You can believe it. Scorpio Sky is nearing 40, or he is 40. My fucking Christ. I don't know how the fuck Scorpio Sky has looked that young at 40. But Scorpio Sky came out. He took out Mark Sterling, and afterwards, this right here, this got me a little, this made me cringe a little bit, just because the fact that I've done this before. Tony Nese, he went to hit Ethan Page with the weight. Page kicked him, and Tony Nese had his fingers crushed underneath the 45-pound weight. And I've actually done that when I was trying to put weights back, because I was doing shoulder presses, right? And I tried to put one of the weights back onto the the area that it was hung on, right? I was putting it back onto the weight hanging area, and the 10-pound weight, it crushed between another weight and my finger, and it caused a piece of my skin to rip off. So I felt Tony Nese's pain. I never done it with a 45 because I think my fingers would have been broken, but oh my God, that didn't look good at all. That did not look good at all. You couldn't pay me enough money to take that. So Ethan Page then stomped on the weight, crushed Nese's fingers, and then he delivered a DDT onto the plate. Page then hit Sterling with the weight and delivered the Ego's Edge to Sterling. Sky then took him out. Nese then with a steel chair. He then bashed Page with the steel chair. Nese then with one last gasp handcuffed Ethan Page's hands behind his back. And Nese goes, "You're going to quit right now or I'm going to hit you in the head with this chair. Do you quit?" He was telling him to quit. Page looked into the mic with he looked at Tony Nese's eyes with fucking rage and he screamed, "Fuck you." Got big pop from the crowd. I popped from that. I always love a good F-bomb. Always love a good F-bomb. He just screamed into the mic, "Fuck you." So the crowd popped. Page then with a boot, no hands behind his back, no hands back body drop. The referee then uncuffed Page. Page mounted a comeback with a chair shot right to the head, and with the handcuffs still on his wrists, he delivered the crossface to Tony Nese with the cuffs wrapped around his neck, and you heard Tony Nese in his choking voice say, "I quit, I quit." And thanks to the crossface around the neck with the handcuffs, Ethan Page gets the victory. Ethan Page wins the I Quit match. And Ethan Page, man, I'm very, very pleased with where Ethan Page is at right now. This is perhaps the best that Ethan Page has in many months. And Tony Nese, listen, he may have been portrayed like a jobber, but Tony Nese and Ethan Page, they went out there and they fucking delivered. They worked their asses off in that match, and I got to give props to both of them. I don't know where Ethan Page goes, to be quite honest with you. I don't know where he goes, but I'm very much intrigued to see where he ends up, because Ethan Page, he is perhaps one of the most underrated wrestlers on the roster when it comes to Ring of Honor and AEW. Not sure where Tony Nese goes, but hey, look, for one night, he can hold his head held high, and we got ourselves a very good I Quit match. Nothing really more to say there. Floor is yours.
Since I've already said most of what I'm going to say regarding the match, I'm just going to say real quick, I think what they should do with Ethan Page is make him a top guy in Ring of Honor in the main event scene.
Yes.
The Ring of Honor world title scene. And if you want to intertwine him from time to time, maybe in a mid-card match on AEW, I'm okay with that.
This match with Kenny Omega was great.
But he's too good to be a mainstay in the mid-card scene on AEW, in my opinion. He's too good to be stuck in the mid-card scene on Ring of Honor. And it gives the Ring of Honor world title scene an extra body, an extra person going after the title. The more people Ring of Honor, I think, can get in their main event scene, the better for them. And I think that's where he belongs, especially after what I saw last night. And Tony Nese is great talent. I just think he's one of those guys that, unfortunately, for whatever reason, he's probably just gonna be in the mid-card / tag team scene for the majority of his career.
It's kind of sad to say, but when it comes down to it, yeah, Tony Nese, there's just so many people who are ahead of him. And I don't really think he's going to be much of anything. He could be something in Ring of Honor if they want to give him a little bit.
You know what I'm saying, though? It's weird talking about Tony Nese because he's got a great look. His physique is phenomenal. He's great in the ring, right? So with those two things combined, you would think surely there's something for him in a major play sort of way. But there's just, and I can't really explain to you, DJ, what it is about Tony Nese that just has me seeing him as a mid-card guy and nothing really more. Because like I said, he's got a great look and he's great in the ring. I don't necessarily think it's a height thing. It's definitely not a physique or a in-ring lack of talent thing at all whatsoever. It's just
wrong place, wrong time for him.
I don't even think wrong place, wrong time. I just look at Tony Nese and I just don't see. He doesn't have a large enough of a personality to me to be seen as a top superstar type of talent, if that makes sense. Did my internet cut out? What's happening? Uh-oh. Hello. Mr. Storms, are you with me? Testing, testing. I think YouTube is maybe having some problems. I don't know if anyone in the chat can hear me. I don't know if DJ can hear me. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, as we seem to be... And DJ's gone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Eye of the Storm with your host, not DJ Storms. Let's see how we can get this back here. One second. Well, this is something I was not anticipating. Let's see where he's gone.
There we go. There we go. What the fuck?
Thank you, Lord Jesus. I was just getting ready to text you. I don't know if...
I literally texted you. I don't know what the fuck. It's raining outside, and Mother Nature wants to try and fuck me over.
I think you disappeared, but I saw the banner still around me, so I don't know if anyone's in the chat could hear me or still see me.
No, it's still live.
I was trying to keep it going. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Eye of the Storm with your host, not DJ Storm.
I saw it. I was literally watching it.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know what to do. I was panicked. I was like trying to keep the show going just in case it was...
Only on my fucking channel do we have these fucking technical issues with fucking Mother Nature, with this fucking rain and shit. But what were you saying regarding Tony Nese? Continue what you were saying. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying it has nothing to do with his in-ring ability or his look. There's just... I can't describe into words why his personality to me, I think he's got a good one, but I don't feel like it screams larger than life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, again, it's just, it all depends on where he is. I feel like if they wanted to, they could have made him into something. But I mean, who would you rather see? Ethan Page or Tony Nese? Tony Nese or Darby Allin? Tony Nese or Sammy Guevara? Tony Nese or fucking Kenny Omega? Tony Nese or FTR? Young Bucks? House of Black? People like that. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
That's pretty much where it all resides.
But like I said, you know,
but
he could
nevertheless,
be
we had a very good I Quit match.
He could be in anything in the mid card.
Nevertheless, we had a...
Are we cutting out again?
Nevertheless, nevertheless, we had a very good I Quit match, and Ethan Page gets the win. Nyla Rose, she took on Vert Vixen. This was pretty much a match better suited for Ring of Honor TV. And listen, I kind of understand why he put this match here, because we were about to get a break in between two banger matches, and that's exactly what this was. Nyla Rose wins. Very, very, very quick, very simple. Didn't need to be on the show. I would have completely nixed this match off the show, because by nixing this match, you would have saved the crowd an extra 5 minutes, combined with the fact that you took the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team titles off of the show. Then you would have saved an extra 20.
And here we go again. Looks like the East Coast might be dealing with some weather issues causing this today. We will wait for Mr. Storms to return. Back after this. We will just wait for DJ to refresh his stream and make it back into the venue. This is going to sound awfully bad, but I didn't even know.
It's unbelievable. I swear to God. It's unbelievable.
Did you just see that? There were... I don't even
What?
know. I thought I was drinking for a second. I saw two of you on my screen. It was you and you at
I
the
know,
top
I'm
and then
fucking
me at the bottom.
I'm
I didn't know
fucking
you had a
magical.
twin.
I'm fucking magical, dude. Anyway. But like I said regarding Nyla Rose and Vert Vixen, didn't need to be on the show. This was pretty much a piss break match in between what was a very good I Quit match and what was going to be the best match on the show. But again, you could have taken this match off the show completely. You would have saved the crowd. You would have saved the crowd an extra 5 minutes. So then instead of midnight, we would have gotten out there by 11:40 if you would have taken the 6-man tag team titles and you would have put them on the pre-show. This fucking weather, I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm getting all fucking pissed off right now. I'm gonna have to fucking tombstone Mother Nature. Anyway.
Well, it's always better to be pissed off than to get pissed on, is what I always say. And since you have frozen again, I will utilize this time to talk about the...
I don't know, man.
Can you hear me? Are you back? Can you hear me?
I don't know why.
Can you hear me?
Hold on a minute. Reload.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir? Hello. And DJ is gone again, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Back, I guess I will continue what I was saying before he came back in. I didn't realize that there was even a Nyla Rose match. I'm sorry?
I think I may very well go to my phone. I'm telling you. I'm getting pissed off right now. But continue what you were saying. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure how long this match went on. It couldn't have been for very long because
3 minutes.
So that must have been when I was texting you back and forth about the previous match, and I completely didn't even know that there was a Nyla Rose match on the card. I mean, I completely missed it from tweeting. Like I didn't know that match even took place. So I can't really
don't blame you.
Offer anything to this part of the show. So I'm sorry. What was the point of Nyla Rose being on the match and for 3 minutes? I don't understand.
It was a meaningless match. It was a meaningless match, and it goes to show you that Tony Khan really needs to. Yeah, exactly. Why was it there?
Because Nyla Rose is one of Tony Khan's buddies and nothing more.
Tony Khan needs to realize that not everyone needs to be on the show. You could have.
Sorry, I don't mean anything by saying buddies in case there are any assholes in the chat. It being Nyla Rose, I meant she is one of Tony Khan's friends.
Fuck it. You don't have to. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Just for the sensitive ones, I just wanted to make
fuck
that
the sensitive
distinction.
ones. This is DJ Storm's channel.
I know. I just wanted to make that distinction because I don't need any more drama in my life. Are you gone again? I see. I'm starting to feel like this is like a prank Hooli day. Okay. And we're back.
There we go. I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm
All
still
good?
here. Yeah, I'm still here. But as far as that goes, again, Tony Khan really needs to understand that not everyone needs to be on the show. And
Facts.
if they would have taken the 6-man tag team titles, you put that on the pre-show, you would have taken this match completely off the show, you would have saved the crowd a lot. Now we go into what was easily the best match on the show. This was Dalton Castle, Commander, Lee Johnson, Kyle Fletcher, Lee Moriarty, and Brian Keith. Survival of the fittest match for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. I'm telling you, when it comes to Tony Khan, when it comes to AEW, the youth movement is alive and well. And this is what I like to see.
I'm actually
Youth
surprised
movement,
that this
baby,
was
youth
your
movement.
favorite match.
Dude, the last 10 minutes were fucking fantastic. Last 10 minutes, absolutely fucking fantastic. If you saw, you saw. But let me ask you this. Where does this rank on your best matches of the night? And if anything, does this fall on some of your best matches of the year candidates?
I don't. I'm trying to think. It was a great match. I don't know if I have it slated for a match of the year candidate, to be honest. I don't know how many matches we get to put in the category of potential match of the year candidates.
I put it in honorable mentions.
Can you please refresh my memory who was in this match? I know Kyle Fletcher,
Dalton Castle, Commander.
I should have known that because I
Lee
picked Dalton Castle
Johnson.
to win the damn thing.
Yeah. Commander,
Lee Johnson, Lee Moriarty.
and Brian Keith.
I thought, because Brian Keith wrestled last night and then he wrestled on the man, Tony Keith must really be seeing something. Tony Khan must be seeing something in Brian Keith because he got a pre-show spot on Ring of Honor Final Battle and then wrestled on Rampage or Collision last night.
Crazy,
wow.
I know, isn't it?
He's had a crazy weekend, that guy. It was a great match.
Absolutely.
I feel like the right outcome. But I didn't realize Kyle Fletcher looked like a damn tower in there compared to standing next to everybody. I didn't realize he was that large of a human being. He must be really tall. I'm 6'2", but he's got to be taller than me. Because he looked massive in there. And what's interesting to me isn't Kyle Fletcher part of the whole Don Callis thing going on?
Yeah, and now the Don Callis family has gold.
Well, he's the first one of the faction to capture gold, yet nobody from the faction was with him last night. I just found that interesting.
He did it on his own. He did it on his own.
Which makes me think that at some point that is going to come into play down the line. And
by the way, crazy to think this was the first singles title.
Kyle Fletcher?
This was his very first singles title that he's ever won.
Well, he's pretty young, right? Do we know how old he is?
What's going on? We lost HooliGrim.
No, I'm here. I've been here this whole time.
No. It's probably me again. It's probably the fucking thing's going back and forth. I swear to God. If it cuts me out again, I think I may just switch to my phone because I'm getting pissed off.
It's all good. Kyle Fletcher, he's pretty young, right?
24.
Oh yeah. Age. Yeah, I mean 24. Wasn't Randy Orton 24 when he won the WWE title?
He was 24 when he won the world heavyweight title. Yeah.
Yeah. So 24 is a good age to start. If you're at that level where Kyle Fletcher is at, like a Randy Orton was at this stage of your youth at 24 years old, it seems fitting that he's got a title. I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. He's got the look, and we'll see what he can do with it. We'll see. Now that he has the TV title, I wasn't a fan of Samoa Joe laying it in the ring, because to me it kind of was like, oh no, what I really want is the AEW World Championship. That's more important. And it kind of took a fat dump on the Ring of Honor belt, in my opinion. But let's see what Kyle Fletcher can do with it. Let's make it important, you know? He's got a great look. He's great in the ring. He's real. I mean, he's got that. I know he's an Aussie, but he wrestles with that British strong style. You know what I mean? He's really hard hitting. He's really believable in what he does. I wouldn't want to really have to wrestle him, to be honest, because it probably hurts like a bitch. But yeah, like let's make him.
You don't want to fuck with Kyle Fletcher, but
no, man, he just has that intensity, and good for him. Congrats to him for winning the belt, and I'm excited to see what they do with him in this spot that they've put him in. And Brian Keith apparently is the talk of the town.
Kind of shocked.
I think we're having audio stuff again.
Yeah, Brian Keith, he's doing his thing. I was kind of shocked, actually. I got to admit, I was kind of shocked that... What's going on? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, good. I was kind of shocked, actually. I got to admit, I was kind of shocked that they actually gave it to Kyle Fletcher. Even though he was my pick to win, there was always a small part of me that thought that they were going to give it to Dalton Castle, but I'm glad that they didn't.
And Dalton Castle got eliminated. The second one he got out pretty early, and I was like, well, I texted you. I was like, I had that completely wrong. I think we're having audio snafus again. I'm here. I can see you.
I'm very much thinking about just going on my phone. I'm still here.
Yeah. You had paused for a second, but yeah. You had paused for a second, but you're back. I can see you.
All right, hang on a minute.
I can hear you.
Hang on a minute. We're gonna modify some shit over here.
That's fine. Do what you gotta do.
I'm allowing it. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue speaking.
Brian Keith really got showcased heavily this weekend. So I've never heard of him before this weekend. I don't know who he is or much about him. But obviously the fact that he got 2 spots on the same show, that doesn't happen very often in wrestling at all, if ever. So I'm very interested. Him of all people. There's obviously something about him that people see. So I'm interested in seeing more of him and learning about more of him and where he comes from. And good on him. Good on him.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do, especially considering that he went in there and everyone kind of expected Dalton Castle, and Tony Khan kind of did a complete 180 on us.
Yeah.
Can you hear me good?
Yep.
Perfect.
Can hear you good, sir.
Fucking Mother Nature with this fucking causing all these fucking connections. It's unbelievable. Now I'm starting to get pissed at Mother Nature. I think I may need to do a smart scan on my computer or some shit like that. See if that may help it. But regardless, there's no way I'm going to be able to go over everything. But regardless, I will.
Moving on.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the end, though, because I want to talk about some really, really, really good spots right here. We had Commander and Kyle Fletcher as the final 2. And if I'm going to say something here, it's that Tony Khan absolutely picked the top 2 best individuals to close out. So we had Brian Keith. He actually got eliminated by Kyle Fletcher via Tombstone. Lee Moriarty actually had a decent little showcase earlier on. So from there, it was Fletcher and Commander. Commander made it back into the ring. We had a big enziguri and a brainbuster. Commander kicked out. Both men were up top. We had a springboard Canadian destroyer. Kyle Fletcher kicked out. Then out of nowhere, Fletcher, with a slingshot rope guillotine on the apron, Commander went up, and he delivered a 450 splash on the apron. Kyle Fletcher was sprawled out on the apron, 450 splash on the fucking apron, which looked absolutely fucking insane.
It looked like it sucked.
Oh my god, dude, that was ridiculous.
When they rotate so fast and then they just come to an immediate stop anywhere in the ropes, looks like it hurts. On that spot on the outside on the apron where your momentum's carrying you and you just hear that splat, it's like to come to an abrupt halt like that as the guy performing that move has really got to suck something bad. Not gonna lie.
God, dude. That was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And then this is where I actually thought it was it. I actually thought this shit was over right here because we had after the 450, we had a huge, and I mean a huge 450 in the ring. So we had one on the apron and then one in the ring. One in the apron, one in the ring. And out of nowhere, we had a big kick out by Fletcher. At this point, the crowd was just all hyped. Crowd was on the edge of their seat for this one. So after this, we had ourselves a I believe it was Fletcher out of nowhere with a brainbuster on the top, shades of El Generico. So after the El Generico brainbuster on the top, Kyle Fletcher finally puts down Commander with a tombstone, and Kyle Fletcher gets the win. Kyle Fletcher is the new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Excellent match, right outcome, the biggest win of his career. And in the end, that's how you create a new star. That is absolutely how you create a new star. Kyle Fletcher, cannot wait to see what he does. You have anything else to add?
I just wish more people could see Ring of Honor because it's hard to turn somebody into a star if no one knows that he's being turned into a star. You know what I mean?
I mean, that really doesn't stop us from saying that Athena's the best women's champion in the industry. It's not about who watches. It's about your portrayal.
Right. It just, for their sake, it makes me wish that more people, more eyes were on the product so that they could elevate him and more people. If somebody sees Kyle Fletcher 2 weeks from now as the Ring of Honor TV champion and they've never seen him before, they're just going to look at him and be like, oh, who's this dude? Where'd he come from? So from that perspective, that's why I'm saying, I just wish that more eyes were on Ring of Honor so that when they do have moments like this, then when you see Kyle Fletcher, he's going to show up at some point, I'm sure, on AEW television with the ROH TV title around his shoulder or waist. People that didn't see Ring of Honor are going to be like, when did that happen? How'd that come about? Whatever. And,
I mean, at the end of the day, you got social media. It doesn't really take a lot to look on the app, and it certainly doesn't take a lot to look up what the fuck happened.
True. Because that's usually something more the hardcore fan does as opposed to the casual.
Yeah, everything pretty much is within very, very easy reach.
Yeah.
So from there, we go into the Pure Championship match. This was Wheeler Yuta and Filthy Tom Lawler. I don't really have too much to say about this match. This match, it was good, though. It was a good match. It was a good wrestling match. Filthy Tom Lawler, he's very good at what he does. This was probably my first time actually seeing him, and he's not bad. He's not bad. He's very, very technical. He's hard-hitting when he wants to be hard-hitting. And Wheeler Yuta, listen, I really don't get the hate on Wheeler Yuta. I don't get the hate on Wheeler Yuta. He may not be the most exciting guy when it comes to a character portrayal, but the guy is a very good pro wrestler. And if you're trying to discredit Wheeler Yuta as a guy that's the future of the business, I really think that you need to take a step back, and I really think you need to acknowledge Wheeler Yuta as someone to be taken seriously going forward. But the match was fine. It was just like wrong timing, especially coming after that excellent survival of the fittest match. It was very, very hard for Wheeler Yuta and Filthy Tom Lawler to really catch a nice wind. But look, they did what they could, and in the end, it was a pretty predictable match because Wheeler Yuta was ultimately going to win.
Obviously.
Wheeler Yuta gets the win. Yeah, Wheeler Yuta gets the win. Afterwards, Hook came out to save Tom Lawler from a continuous beatdown, and ultimately, Hook ended up catching a low blow. And that was it. That was that. And I'm guessing we're going to get this FTW rules match at some point. I'm not sure when.
With Hook and Yuta?
Yeah, it's Hook and Yuta, and we're going to get this FTW rules match. I'm assuming maybe on Dynamite, maybe on World's End. I'm not sure how they're going to format that, but it's coming because Yuta, he laid out the challenge for him. But do you have anything to say about this match? It wasn't a bad match. It was just after that great survival of the fittest match, it was kind of hard for them to catch the win back.
If you're trying to get eyes on someone, I don't know. If you're looking for a way, actually, forget getting eyes on someone. If you're looking for a way to make your 0 hour feel important, I would have put that match on the as the last match of the pre-show, it being for a title. If you put a title match on a pre-show, it's going to make, oh, they're putting a title match on the pre-show. We better check that out. Like, that doesn't usually happen. And I only say that just because it was another match that would have shaved some time off of the main card. I don't really understand. I feel like Wheeler Yuta gets a lot of TV time compared to a lot of other talent that could get TV time that for whatever reason doesn't. So I don't feel like this needed to be on the show in any way, shape, or form. Just because Wheeler Yuta has a title in Ring of Honor doesn't mean we have to see that title defended every time they put on a show. I get because Ring of Honor only does 4 shows a year, you're going to see every time they do a pay-per-view, you're going to see all the titles put up. I get that. But they could have put this on the pre-show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely would have put that on the pre-show. It would have made the pre-show feel a little bit more important.
Yeah.
Shane Taylor and Keith Lee. The big man match, the meat match.
The big dogs.
The big dogs. We got the meat match. Gotta love it. So this went about 15 minutes. And for the 15 minutes that it went, I was impressed. Shane Taylor. This was, I believe, it wasn't really my first time seeing Shane Taylor, but it was probably the first time I seen him in a big time match. The last time I saw him in a big time match was at All Out against Samoa Joe, but ultimately that didn't really go anywhere, only because it was a 6-minute match and everyone was really talking about that shove that Samoa Joe gave to MJF on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So this was really the first time that I got to see what Shane Taylor was really made of. And for the most part, I mean, it was a physical match. It was fun for what it was. The only negative I'd have to say about this match is the fact that just the fact that the crowd was still kind of out of it. It really goes to show you how important that the Ring of Honor Survival of the Fittest TV Championship match really felt, because those 6 guys poured so much into that match that it wasn't really until the end of this match and then the Mark Briscoe FTR Blackpool Combat Club match where the crowd really started to show a little bit more energy. But nevertheless, it was still a very fun match. So I was very pleased with what we got. Let me ask you, from here on out, what do we do with Shane Taylor? Because
that's the question.
Yeah, Shane
That's
Taylor.
the big question.
Shane Taylor was never going to win this match. It was always
No.
going to be Keith Lee.
Right.
It was always going to be Keith Lee. And Keith Lee, he's got himself a match with Swerve Strickland coming up. So
Right, because
based
Lexi
on-
Nair at backstage said, "You've been talking about this him for the last number of weeks. Obviously, you must have meant Shane Taylor. And now that you've beat him, you know, what's next for you?" And you could tell right away the way Lexi Nair was leading that question, how Keith Lee was going to respond. And he says, "No, Shane Taylor's not him." And he just kind of chuckles and walks off. So you're like, "Oh, well, who is he talking about?"
And
So-
then look at what he ran into last night on Collision, the Mogul Embassy. Simple.
Prince Nana.
Prince Nana, Brian Cage. Simple.
But the big that was the main thing I took away. The first thought in my head after the match was over is it was an awesome match. Let me start off by saying that Shane Taylor doing was it a second rope Canadian Destroyer to Keith Lee was
I wasn't seeing that whatsoever. Now I seen Shane Taylor fly off the middle rope with a splash. I've seen Keith Lee and Shane Taylor pick each other up.
I've seen Keith Lee do moonsaults and shit, but I wasn't expecting no 200-300-pound men do a Canadian Destroyer off the second rope.
Dude,
was like
300 pounds. Dude, Shane Taylor's over 400 pounds. You seen his fucking thighs?
Oh well, I don't want to come across as
Dude,
sounding rude to guess somebody's weight,
get that
but
spine buster on him.
yeah. And then
held
at
him.
one point, did Shane Taylor did a Uranagi on Keith Lee? Just
Yeah.
picked him up and was like, just stuck him right into the mat, and I was like,
picked him up,
God
he picked
damn.
him up like he was 200 pounds.
Yeah, so I was really impressed. I've seen what Keith Lee can do. I know how strong he is. So when he does something to another man his size, as impressive as it is, you're wowed by it. But if you've been paying attention to Keith Lee over the last, let's say, 5 years, you know what he's capable of doing in the ring. So seeing Shane Taylor, to me, I was looking for what he brought. I've seen a few Shane Taylor matches, but with the size that he is, normally you're going to be going up against guys that probably aren't the same size as you. So I've seen him wrestle smaller guys, and it was good for what it was, but I was really intrigued to see what Shane Taylor was capable of doing with a physical being that matched the size, if not Keith Lee's bigger than Shane Taylor. And those two guys, man, I don't think it's possible for Keith Lee to have a bad match, man. I really don't.
No.
That guy, the more I see of Keith Lee, the more I want to see of Keith Lee. And this match was one of my favorites of the night, to be honest with you.
So they were pretty technical early on. It was all about, the hammerlocks, the headlocks, and the crowd. They were chanting meat, meat, meat. They were chanting meat is awesome. They were chanting beat that meat. Beat
that meat, yeah.
Beat that meat. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So I don't know how the fuck Keith Lee was able to do this, but Keith Lee, as Shane Taylor was running at him, Keith Lee held Shane Taylor up there in a spine buster. I don't know how the fuck his arms didn't snap when he had Shane Taylor up there. Absolutely unbelievable spot. And he was up there. He held him up there in that spine buster. Absolutely unbelievable. So Lee Moriarty then came out. He got taken out with a spirit bomb. Shane Taylor then took over. Shane Taylor with, like we said, Avalanche Canadian Destroyer. Keith Lee, I don't know how the fuck he did not break his neck. Avalanche Canadian Destroyer. And Keith Lee kicked out. That popped the crowd. Crowd was chanting, holy shit. Lee was then caught with a right hand. Lee kicked out again. Keith Lee then with ground 0. 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee wins. And afterwards, Keith Lee offered the hand to Shane Taylor. They made up. And that was it. That was it. And Shane Taylor and Keith Lee had a very nice moment. And then on Collision last night, Keith Lee, he ran into the Mogul Embassy and he told Brian Cage to tell him that I am losing my patience. So I'm looking at Keith Lee Swerve Strickland Revolution. That's what I'm looking at.
Take my fucking money.
Now that is something I can get behind. Again, the only thing that I wish that I wish that we would have gotten a bit more of a lively response, but that's just me. Either way, it was a very physical match, and it's exactly what you would expect from two guys like Keith Lee and Shane Taylor.
It was nice to see. I really liked at the end of the match when Shane Taylor's sitting up in the corner against the turnbuckles, and Keith Lee holds out his hand to shake his hand. You see Shane Taylor kind of thinking about it, and then Keith Lee's like, "Nah, fuck that," and he grabs his hand and physically pulls Shane Taylor up onto his feet, and then they have a couple of words, and then Keith Lee holds Shane Taylor's hand up and points at him for all the crowd and leaves the ring and lets kind of Shane Taylor have his moment being from Texas with the crowd. And then Shane Taylor goes over and hugs his daughters. And I really liked how the ending of their feud played out in that moment. Very impressed with those guys. And like I said, there's nothing that Keith Lee could do that he could have 2 botches in every match and I would still be a big Keith Lee fan. He's just there's something about him. Getting to see him wrestle Dijakovic live at TakeOver Portland really was what did it for me. To hear the sound of them guys hitting each other, and by no means was I very close. I wasn't up in the nosebleeds, but I wasn't floor seats either, and to hear the sounds that guy makes when he's hitting people it sounds like when you're getting, like when somebody cracks a whip, you know what I mean?
Dude, it's brutal. Like
yeah.
you couldn't pay me a dime to take that double chop by Keith Lee.
No, them bear claws or the pounce when I'll never forget him pouncing Adam Cole and coming down the runway in NXT, and him pouncing Adam Cole goes flying off into the crowd into oblivion.
That's one of the greatest memes in pro wrestling history.
Yeah, Keith Lee is phenomenal, and can't wait for more of him. But like you said, back to your original question, I don't know. This is the thing is, unfortunately, I don't know what we do with Shane Taylor because AEW's roster is so bloated. But I mean, where does he fit in Ring of Honor or elsewhere? I don't know. I'm not really sure.
He is ultimately going to stay on Ring of Honor. He has to.
Right. Like, he's always been a Ring of Honor guy. He's like how, he's pretty loyal. He's pretty loyal to the Ring of Honor brand. There's not really anywhere else for him in AEW, unfortunately, at the time. And maybe as things progress in the future, he ends up there in something meaningful. But I just hope they have something important for him to do, even in Ring of Honor.
I hope so. Mark Briscoe, FTR, Blackpool Combat Club. Now, here's the thing. The match itself was excellent in the end, but I really do not understand why we needed a regular tag team match to start off the show, or start off the match, rather. It began as a regular tag team match, only for it to end in a double countout, and then Mark Briscoe says, no, let's make this a fight without honor. Why didn't you just make it a fight without honor to begin with?
But they were saying that it was a fight without honor at the beginning of the match.
Exactly.
Which I didn't understand.
They build it as a fight without honor at the beginning of the match, only for them to do a complete 180 and then just go back to the fight without honor to begin with. I think that was fucking stupid.
Yeah, which wasted another 5 minutes of time, really.
It should have been a fight without honor to begin with, and you could have shaved.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The whole interaction where they changed it at the end and then restarted, that wasted some time. So if you would have just had it in the beginning, like you said, that would have saved a handful of minutes also.
That would have saved an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you would have taken about 5 minutes off of the match. So then you would have saved an extra 20 minutes combined with the extra 20 minutes that I already talked about. That would have saved 40 minutes, and we would have been out of there by 11:20.
We're looking at a 3.5 hour, almost 4 hour show at that point, which is still a pretty decent length.
And that's just the main show. Then you got to add an hour with the 0 hour.
Yeah.
But so it started off very good in the beginning, and then it just took a completely different turn because of the 3-way brawl. It was an all-out melee, and we had a double count out. And then Mark Briscoe then said, "Oh, no, hell nah. Paul Turner, you must have bumped your fucking head, boy."
Oh.
And now that was funny. That I will admit was funny.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe, man. I love him.
So then we get the fight without honor being made. Now you knew it was going to get, in the words of Earl Cole, it was going to get woolly wile and all over the fucking place. So from there, we then had thumbtacks and barbed wire being brought out onto a table. We then had a scenario where we had a ladder being brought in. We had a bed of chairs. So needless to say, it was pretty fucking chaotic. It was pretty fucking chaotic. We then had Dax and Moxley brawling on the stage. Moxley was bleeding, of course. We then had Briscoe hyping himself up with a tope con hero onto Claudio. We then had Claudio being placed on the barbed wire ladder. Moxley then shoved Mark Briscoe off the top onto the barbed wire ladder. The crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." We had a curb stomp by Dax, or to Dax, by Moxley onto a chair. Moxley then stabbed Cash with a fork. And after the fork stab, we then had Dax Harwood coming back, and he ended up breaking up a barbed wire label lock by Moxley and Bryan, which looked fucking brutal.
That was pretty barbaric.
Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to be in the middle of that. I'm just saying. So after that, we had ourselves a sleeper by Bryan on Dax, Claudio with a sleeper on Wheeler. Then Dax saved Briscoe. We had Wheeler spearing Claudio through a table on the floor. We then had Dax Harwood delivering a pile driver to Moxley off of the apron through the barbed wire table with tacks on it. And then Mark Briscoe, he delivered the J Driller on the bed of chairs, 1, 2, 3, and he pins Bryan Danielson for the win. Now, stupid fucking move to have it start out as a normal match and then just make it a fight without honor. It should have been a fight without honor from the get-go, and we should have had it go 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. It would have saved a hell of a lot of time, and that right there would have definitely helped the show flow a little bit better, because there was a lot of dead time in between the big matches. We didn't need that. We didn't need that at all. But regardless, it ended up turning out to be an excellent match, and the right team won. That was pretty much that.
Agreed. I actually love Mark Briscoe and FTR, and I loved that they came out with Dem Top Guy shirts.
Oh, that was
using
great.
Dem Boys and Top Guys. I was like, damn, I gotta get me one of them shirts. However, we got spoiled last year. Those of us that got to see the rivalry between FTR and the Briscoe brothers.
Oh, yeah. And then Final Battle,
if
forget about Final Battle. Final Battle last year was one of the best pay-per-views of the year.
If you saw any of their matches when you went into last night, even though Jay is gone, rest his soul, I think I was, what's the word I'm looking for? I think I was naively looking for something that probably just was never going to be. Now, that being said, it was a great match, but it just wasn't. There was just an element, there was something about it, and maybe it's just every so often, when it happens in wrestling, when you get a feud between two guys or two teams, and they just capture, they call it lightning in a bottle, where you can tell when you're in the moment, when you're watching it, oh, this is a different level, this is a different feeling. This is probably a classic in the making. I think that because it's the Briscoes, because FTR was involved, I was waiting for elements of something along those lines between the FTR Briscoe feud that we got last year, and it wasn't there.
We weren't gonna get it if we had the match restarted.
We're never gonna.
midway
We're
through.
the reality is, DJ, is like we're never gonna get that again, for the simple fact that you just can't have FTR and the Briscoes fighting each other their whole careers in those style of matches. They're gonna kill each other. They're gonna like shorten their careers by 15 years. But also it's not possible any longer because Jay's no longer with us. So, that being said, that this was the match I was most looking forward to of the entire night, and it was a great match. I was very actually surprised that Danielson took the pinfall. I actually commended and respected him for that, because I think a lot of people, a lot of the online internet geeks that probably didn't actually watch the show, when they see on Twitter that Daniel got pinned clean, are going to have some trolly comments to say about it, like, oh, look at what they buried Bryan Danielson on Ring of Honor. Nobody's watching that anyway. I commended Bryan Danielson for somebody in the crowd had a sign that said disciplinary dragon or something like that, which I thought was funny given the news about him and being on a disciplinary committee in AEW and whatnot. But
I thought that was great. I thought that was great.
I commended Bryan Danielson for being okay with taking the fall, not having so much of an ego to where he didn't want to look weak in defeat or have somebody else take the loss or take the pin, what have you. It turned into a brutal match. When Dax sat up from that table spot and they showed his back, I don't know if I've ever seen Mick Foley with that many tacks in his back at one time. The pain tolerance that the Briscoes and FTR possess is, I'm not sure if I don't know who else in pro wrestling can withstand that kind of pain threshold. I'm sure there's got to be a handful of guys. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Briscoe, when they changed the match to the Fight Without Honor match, I wasn't expecting him to drop an F-bomb, and when he said, "You most done bumped your fucking head, boy," I just started cracking up laughing. But Mark Briscoe, damn it, at the end of that match, when he looks into the camera, since Jay's passing, and he talks into the camera and he says hi to his brother or whatever, I completely lose my shit. And if I keep talking about it, like, I'm already starting to feel the tears come to my eyes now. But I hope they put what he said on a shirt, actually. I think it would sell really well.
You must have bumped your fucking head.
Well, they could do that, but I was thinking at the end of the match when he looked into the camera and he said something to his brother Jay that he loved him, and he said, "We them boys, baby. We gonna keep doing this shit because that's what we fucking do." That got me. I just completely like.
I thought that was it was a very nice touch. I just really hope that Tony Khan doesn't try and pull any shit like that where they start a match and then midway through they change it just because of a DQ. Like, that's some WWE shit.
I was gonna say, if you're trying to be the alternative, why are we now just starting to? It's like they've gotten lazy, and it's just like, oh, just do the tried and true formula. Like, even though it's not really a tried and true formula, it's just what the wrestling industry, especially WWE's, done over so many years. It's very lazy. It's like, why is AEW doing this type of shit? I don't want to feel like I'm watching stuff that I've seen WWE milk to death for the last 15, 20 years that I absolutely can't stand about the company. I don't want to see AEW doing that type of shit.
Yeah, that definitely leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, especially what happened afterwards. Like, I get Eddie Kingston wants to compete on the fucking show, but did we need Eddie Kingston versus Anthony Henry?
And poor Eddie Kingston, you don't build him for the pay-per-view, and he's your fucking champion, but then you put him in a little meaningless 2-second or 2-minute promo where he comes out and says, I'm the champion and I'm not on the show, Tony Khan. What the fuck? Some random comes walking up and is like, I'm here, I'll fight you. And he's like, yeah, okay. And that's how we get the ROH champion in a match for the final pay-per-view of the year was just kind of like, I felt bad for Eddie Kingston in that moment. And then the match that we got, it was like, this was a fucking waste of time. It really was. And I'm not saying it was a bad match. I'm just saying there was no need for it.
Fucking stupid.
It
Very,
was
very
extra. It was unnecessary.
Very
Should have
fucking
just left
stupid.
Eddie Kingston. He would have been better left off the card, in my opinion.
Yeah, that definitely pissed me the fuck off a little bit. That definitely pissed me off. But then we got to the main event. It was Athena versus Billy Starks for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Now, I want to say a couple things, and most of it's going to be positive. One thing I do wish, again, this is probably just, it goes hand in hand with what I've been saying about Ring of Honor for a while. I want there to be more structure. I want there to be a little bit more of a direction with Ring of Honor. And I don't want there to just be one singular story for us to focus on throughout the entirety of Ring of Honor TV, no matter when we watch it. So with Billy Starks and Athena, I don't really want to overhype it and make it sound like it's the greatest thing ever, but that's a blueprint. That's a blueprint that I think Tony Khan should really implement and follow going forward with Ring of Honor shows. He should implement that blueprint. That should be the formula going forward to format a feud, a storyline, whatever it may be. This was probably the best storyline that Ring of Honor has had ever since Tony Khan purchased it, minus FTR and the Briscoes. FTR and the Briscoes, obviously number one. We already know that feud, never going to be duplicated, never going to be topped.
Right.
But ever since Ring of Honor TV started back in March of this year, that right there, that program between Athena and Billy Starks, that right there, that should be the blueprint going forward with Ring of Honor. That is how you formulate a storyline to keep someone intrigued. And Athena, listen, we all know Athena's great. Fuck Rhea Ripley. Athena's the best women's wrestler in the entire industry. But Billy Starks, I got to give my props to Billy Starks. Billy Starks was thrown to the wolves. She was thrown into the lion's den at a very young age. Just turned 19. And
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's not a lot of 19-year-old males that would get that spot.
No. I don't know how. I don't know what she did, but in some way, somehow, she went in there and she wrestled as if she was doing this for the last decade. She went in there. She didn't fuck up. She didn't get butterflies. She did not botch. She carried herself like a fucking superstar in this match. So I got to give my props to Billy Starks. She carried herself extremely well to a point where I don't even think if I was put in that spot that young in my life or in my career, I don't think I would have been able to do what she did. So that right there, that is definitely something that she deserves a lot of praise for. And if there's one thing that's for sure, and it's that Billy Starks is going to be a major, and I mean a major player in the women's division in a few years. There were a lot of people that were clamoring for Billy Starks to win. If Billy Starks won, I would not have been mad. I'm going to say it right now, I would not have been pissed off. But you need to think about this in terms of vibes. Now, when you see a professional wrestler, you can have a pro wrestler with a great look. You can have a pro wrestler with a great background, a great in-ring repertoire, good promo ability, genuinely likable. But there's always a vibe that surrounds a certain superstar or wrestler when he or she is ready. There's always a vibe. You can sense it. You take a look at that match between Willow Nightingale and Athena last July at Death Before Dishonor. Willow was fucking ready.
Yeah.
If they wanted to put the title on Willow then, I would have absolutely been okay with it. Even though I'm a big Athena guy, I would have been completely okay if they wanted to have Willow Nightingale beat Athena on that night.
I thought they
She's
were going
still,
to.
yeah, I thought they were going to too.
Because
She's
she had all the momentum.
she's still ready, and you know what? They can revisit that.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that vibe with Billy Starks.
Same.
I just did not get that vibe. Not to say that she's not worthy of that spot, because she proved that she's worthy of it, but it just did not come off like Billy Starks was ready for a major spotlight like what we saw. She was not ready to hold the championship and be the flag bearer of the women's division.
How could she be? How could she be? She's fucking 19.
I mean, no, she could be if she wanted to, but at that age, age is just a number. But
here's the thing, though.
It feels like she didn't do enough. She did not do enough to create that vibe that she's ready.
I'm not saying because she's 19, she couldn't possibly be good enough in the ring to be worthy of that spot. I don't think any 19-year-old is mentally where they need to be to carry the brand's major championship for your respective division. We back? You left and now you're back. Okay, good.
I'm back, baby. Finally, the laptop's working again.
All right,
Can
we're
you hear
back.
me good?
Yep, we're back in full swing. Okay. So, like I said, it wasn't.
I don't know what the fuck happened. I had to go through fucking my phone for God knows how long. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, when living in the Pacific Northwest, when it's rainy season here, which is a lot of time out of the year, the internet will get choppy and stuff like that too. So
That's never happened to me in a good while. Ever since I got the new laptop, bro.
yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It happens.
How am I coming in? Am I coming in good?
Yep, crystal clear.
All right, good.
But yeah, Billy Starks. She I'll let you go over the match and then I'll give my thoughts.
If you want to give your thoughts now, I actually want to hear it.
Well, I've got I got a lot to say about this match, and it's all over the place because there was a lot of good, but there was a lot of things that my wrestling brain kind of picked at. I noticed right off the bat, because I'm not familiar with Billy Starks, I'm watching her come to the ring. And immediately, my first impression, as I'm seeing really getting, I don't think I've seen her before the other night, to be honest with you, because I don't watch Ring of Honor weekly. So I'm looking at her and I'm going, what's with all the pastel-haired, let's make every woman look like a Joshi wrestler look? Get that.
That was your style. That's pretty much your style. And
fine,
I'm guessing she's going through a phase because she's 19. She wants to be bubbly and shit.
That's fine. They're going to have to give her a different look, at least different ring attire, because I was not feeling the ring attire right away. But as she's walking to the ring, she had the look of a deer in headlights in terms of she was probably overcome with some adrenaline, anxiety, emotion. Holy shit. Like,
yeah,
I'm in this moment. I hope I don't fuck it up. She had that look on her face.
Yeah.
Now, it came off to me. I didn't necessarily. I don't knock her for it because I feel like had that been me at 19 years old, I'd be like, oh shit, I hope I don't fuck this up too. But I didn't want to see that from her. I didn't want to. I come out at least fake it. You know what I mean? Feel like you're about to shit your pants by all means, and rightfully so. But she was like, as she was walking down the ramp, she was just kind of staring at the floor as she was coming to the ring, and it was like she just had the look of like she was unsure. And I just noticed that right away. I'm not knocking her for it. I don't have anything negative.
I mean, there's going to be some emotion shown just because, it's not every day
she just immediately right away looked like a 19-year-old coming out to have a main event championship spot. And holy shit, this is my life right now. I can't believe I'm here. Hope everything goes right. I could just see it all over her face. That being said, um, Athena, after the other night when the match was over, I thought this for a while, but I don't get to see Athena wrestle very often because she's in Ring of Honor. They don't show her on AEW TV like everybody else in Ring of Honor that they put on AEW TV. So it had been a while since, I mean, it probably was the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view was the last time I saw Athena until the other night. And she hands down, from a wrestling and ring perspective, maybe not a persona like in terms of does she jump off the screen at you? Does she come up like do you feel like you're looking at a superstar? I feel like Rhea Ripley encapsulates the superstar definition in terms of looks and presentation to a T. But in terms of in-ring ability and quality of match, there's nobody better than Athena. There's
I mean,
nobody.
Athena did look like a beast with the Bane attire.
Her coming out as Bane was sick. I'm not gonna lie. With the glowing green tubes and the mask and shit, she goes all out on her ring attire. She really puts a lot into her. I think she makes her own gear too. So, um, she looks incredible. But in terms of work rate, there is just she hits so stiff too, man. It's like, I mean, if you're a woman and you get the call or you see on the board where however you find out what your match is going to be and you see that's who your opponent's going to be, I'm sure every woman is kind of like, oh shit, I'm in for a rough night.
The heel run, it was probably one of the best things for her career. And guess what? She is on perhaps the
Is she
best
still a
women's
heel?
title reign since Asuka.
Isn't she still kind of like heelish?
Yeah, she is a heel.
Yeah, she
She is
just
a
was
heel.
over because they were in her hometown. So
And on top of that, like she was kind of being a tweener with Billy Starks and
right.
another little partnership they had going on. But clearly now it looks like Athena is she's going to continue being that cocky bitch heel because that's what suits her. That's what
Well,
suits her. And her being the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, easily probably the most dominant title reign since Asuka. I would actually say that this title reign has actually been better than Shayna Baszler because here's the thing. Shayna Baszler's second title reign, there was like she always had Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir.
yeah,
Athena's got no one. Athena's
right.
just beating the shit out of everyone all on her own.
Everybody. She's just beating everybody into oblivion.
Fuck Roman Reigns. Athena's the tribal chief.
Yeah. Athena. So I get, like what you were saying earlier, I get why people assumed she was going to lose the title because everybody believes that she needs to be elevated to national television
And you know what?
status.
I do too.
And I
I do
agree with
too,
that. But at the
but
same time, like I made a comment on Twitter, I wouldn't just have Athena lose the title and end this epic reign she's had just to get her out of Ring of Honor and elevate her. Taking into
there's
consideration
a
she's
time and
fighting
a
a
place for it.
19-year-old, and if you're wanting to put Athena on AEW television, you can't just hand the title to a 19-year-old because you want to move Athena. The 19-year-old's got to be ready to grab the ball and run with it.
There's
And
a time and a
to
place for
me,
it.
she's got potential. She's only fucking 19, so she's not going to get any worse. And I'm not saying she's bad. I'm just saying she can't go down. She's only going to go up from here and get better as she gets older and more time in the ring. But she's still at 19. I don't care if you've been wrestling since you were 3. At 19 years old, you're still greener than green beans in the industry. So I wouldn't have just let her win for the sake of, okay, now we can get Athena to where we all want her to be in the women's division, fighting with the big names and not stuck in a promotion where not very many people are seeing. She's too good to not be seen. She's putting in all this effort and really going balls to the wall in her matches and taking stiff bumps, delivering stiff bumps. She's too good for just a handful of people to be seeing this every time she appears, and I get that, but at the same time, you got to get, like, she will lose the title, but she will lose it to somebody that can take what she's done with it and put their own spin on it and continue elevating that title and continue to keep it prestigious like she's been making it in the time that she's been running with the belt. So I feel like at some point, yeah, she's not going to have the title forever, but you've got to do it when it's right. And I feel like that's coming in 2024.
The time will come at Supercard of Honor. It's either Willow Nightingale or it's Chris Statlander. One of
Yep.
those two. Now, Willow obviously has the better story, but Chris Statlander, I mean, you can formulate a story with Chris Statlander because, Chris Statlander could say, I'm here because I remember when I went down with injury, you had a chance to win the TBS championship and you failed. So you know what? Now I'm going to pick up the pieces where you failed. I'm going to, I went on to win the TBS championship, but you know what? Everyone kept on talking about you and how you're running roughshod over here. So I'm coming to take your title. They could do that, but I would like to see Willow. Willow, Athena, Supercard of Honor, April 5th, Friday. That's really good.
What company, because I don't feel like she's been on AEW television much, what's Ruby Soho doing?
She's on AEW TV.
Is she?
Yes.
Okay.
She's currently in a storyline where she's becoming close with Angela Parker. Don't ask me why. Listen, they haven't really shoved it in your face. They haven't really shoved it in your face. It's kind of like 2-minute segments here and there. It's very, very minor. Most of it's been on Rampage, but
that's very WWE-ish, and that's also...
It's weird. It's odd.
For whatever reason, I want to see Athena and Ruby Soho. I don't know why.
I wouldn't mind that. But the match itself was very good. And the women went out there and proved that they were worthy of having the main event.
I just will say this real quick. After the match is over, all that 10 minutes of extra soap opera, whatever that was, I've never seen a wrestling show do that at the end. And Billy Starks is in the ring going, "What more do you want from me? What more do you want from me?" And then Lexi Nair comes out, and I'm going, "God damn, we've been sitting here a long time. She just beat Billy Starks. What else is there left to do?" And then they want to go into this skit, and I'm like, this is a strange way to close out the show.
Yeah, I wouldn't have closed it out
just for Athena to go, "I want you to be my minions." And then so now Lexi Nair and Billy Starks are going to just, follow Athena around everywhere?
Yeah, that was fucking stupid. That whole thing was fucking stupid.
So now have you gone from...
should be on her own. Just let Stark evolve on her own.
Yeah, because now what is this, ending it that way, it's like, so now what is she doing? She's going from this main event title spot and this big push that she had now to be Athena's little lackey? Is she just going to follow her around? Is she still going to be in matches or storylines? Or is she just going to...
World TV title. Maybe she wins the Ring of Honor Women's World TV title.
I certainly don't want to see Billy Starks and Lexi Nair coming out with Athena for her matches in the future, as her little managers or something like that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think so.
Very goofy way to end the show, in my opinion.
So Starks, she mounted a comeback. Athena was in control in the early portions. Crowd was chanting women's wrestling. Stark with a swanton bomb that got a 2 count. Athena then was driven into the barricade. Athena then dodged a running knee. Drop kick, sending Starks into the barricade, which looked fucking brutal. Starks then with a suplex off the announce table to the floor on Athena, which looked very nice, and another one on the floor for good measure. Billy then sent Athena into the crowd. Billy was then bounced off the exposed barricade. Athena then with a reverse sling blade bulldog off the barricade onto the floor. Back into the ring, Athena with Christ Wrath off of the middle rope, which looked very nice, and Billy Stark kicked out. So the crowd was getting behind Billy Stark. All of a sudden, Athena was kicked into the ref. Athena then told Lexi to give her the belt, and Lexi didn't want to do it. Then all of a sudden, Billy Starks, this is where I thought Billy Starks actually won the damn thing. Billy Stark drop kicks Athena, and her head bounces right off of the title. Billy Starks then with a arm-trapped Styles Clash, which looked very, very nice. 1-2, Athena kicked out. Starks couldn't believe it. Starks then was sent throat first onto the exposed buckle rod. Starks then with the Rubik's Cube electric chair drop on the apron. Back into the ring, swanton bomb missed. Big right hand by Athena. Crowd was chanting ROH, ROH. Both women traded strikes. Athena with a Canadian backbreaker and a code breaker. Billy kicked out at 1. Athena then went up for the O-face. Billy caught her into a roll-up. Athena then with the modified octopus stretch. Billy Stark had to tap out. That was pretty much that. Athena remains supreme. I get it. I get that people are upset. But again, there is a time and a place for a title change. This was not the time. This was not the place. And Billy Starks, she will get her moment. This was not the proper time for that. It's either Willow or Statlander at Supercard. Now, if Athena remains the champion after Supercard, then I'll start saying, all right, now we need to get the title off Athena because she is needed on AEW TV. This, I was willing to let it go. I was willing to let it go because there is greater stories to be told and greater matches to be held. I rhymed right there. Unbelievable. You know, Eminem eat your heart out. But that's pretty much where my head is at. I understand why everyone is a little annoyed, but I would wait for the proper time. If she's still champion after Supercard of Honor, then we'll have to start talking about what the fuck is Tony Khan doing. Mm-hmm. But let's hold off on that because regardless of your opinions, Athena is doing the best work of her career right now. And it's very, very hard for me to say that, oh, yeah, Billy Starks was absolutely the right woman to beat her. If she beat her, I would have been mad, but...
I knew nothing of Billy Starks when we were doing the rundown the other day. And when you said that she was 19, instantly in my mind, I knew she wasn't winning. For whatever reason. So when as they're making their entrances and I'm getting ready to watch this match, there was no part of me that ever remotely thought, at least until the match got going, that Billy Starks was going to have a shot to even come close to win this thing. I was actually surprised that the match went on as long as it did. I wasn't expecting a squash or anything because it's obviously the main event, but they made Billy Starks look like Athena's equal, which was... There's something to be said for that because, again, she's 19 years old. So how many 19-year-olds are going to get in a ring with an established star of the company and be made to look like that superstar's equal?
Youth movement. Kyle Fletcher and Billy Starks, top 2 star-making performances right there.
Right.
And you know what? I'll even throw in Shane Taylor.
Even though I feel like Shane Taylor's not really the youth movement.
No, he's not the youth, but he had a star-making performance.
Oh, for sure. But
great show, but they could have shaved off numerous amounts of minutes.
Yeah, like and the hokey, the WWE skit stuff at the end of this match, I feel like took away from some of the match.
You didn't need to try so hard to try and be Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn 2.0. They didn't need to try that hard.
But even Roman Reigns and the Bloodline in WWE, I've never seen a pay-per-view show go off air with a skit in the ring after the main event matches happened.
And the crazy thing about it is that was the best thing on that show. That's the crazy part about it. Royal Rumble sucked. That was the best thing on the show.
What?
The main event of the Royal Rumble and then the skit afterwards. Everything else on the show fucking blowed.
Oh, there was a skit after the Royal Rumble. I don't remember.
Yes, it was when Sami Zayn hit Roman with the chair.
Oh, that's right.
And that set up the match at the Chamber.
You're right. Your brain remembers wrestling so good. It literally it never ceases to astonish me how many years back, like, your mind can, like, I'll remember a match here or there from eras past and whatnot, but
dude, I remember the dates.
Ask me what we watched on Ring of Honor Final Battle in like 2 weeks. We'll see how much I remember.
I remember the dates and the locations of all the FTR Briscoe matches.
Wow, and as big of a Briscoes fan as I am, I can't even do that.
The first match was April 1st in Dallas, Texas. That was the first match where FTR won the titles. And then Lowell, Massachusetts for Death Before Dishonor, July 23rd, 2 out of 3 falls match, main event of the show. Double dog collar match. Double dog collar match.
Final battle.
Yeah, on Final Battle on the 11th. I believe it was.
Damn.
No, not the 11th. Was it the 11th? Hold on. Let me think about it. It was the 10th, actually. The 10th.
Wow.
10th.
Damn.
December 10th, double dog collar match.
That's impressive.
But hey, people, that is all we got for you. Technical difficulties and all, nearly 3 hours. I'm going to get on out of here, and I am going to go home, relax, probably eat some dinner.
Yeah,
thank you, HooliGrim. Thank you very much, HooliGrim.
Thank you, sir, for having me on this weekend. I greatly appreciate you. I had a great time. I hope I did you well.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm sorry that about the technical issues. That still is going to piss me off even like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I feel you. You're a perfectionist, so you're your own hardest critic, and I get it.
The weather lightened up. You already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Thank you to everyone on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube. You guys are great. You already know the drill, baby.
Earl and Dylan and my friend Amanda for stopping by. Everybody that stopped by to show love. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You already know the drill, man. I will be seeing you guys on Wednesday because I got a new Christmas song coming out. You're not just getting one, you're getting fucking 2, motherfuckers. And once again, they'll be naming a lane after me. HooliGrim, you already know the drill. Tell them all who runs the IWC.
Nobody other than DJ motherfucking Storms.
Damn right,
Don't
baby.
you forget it.
Don't you ever fucking forget it.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.